Okay, welcome everybody to the August 4th, 2026 Volusia County Council meeting. In just a moment, I will ask you to stand for the invocation and the pledge. If you are a member of a faith group who would like to participate in the invocation in the future, please just send an email to the letter K, green at volusia.gov. Carissa over here will take care of it. All faith groups are welcome. This morning we have the Reverend G. Comfort Keene from St. Barnabas Episcopal Church right here in DeLand. So if you care to stand, please stand with me for the invocation.
Let us pray. Almighty God, to whom we must account for all our actions, send down upon those who hold government in this county the spirit of wisdom, charity, and justice, that with steadfast purpose they may faithfully serve in their offices to promote the well-being of all people. Through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. Lord, give these dear people courage in their challenges and wisdom in their decisions. Amen. To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Carissa, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Santiago?
Here.
Mr. Dempsey? Mr. Johansson?
Here.
Mr. Kent?
Here.
Mr. Reinhardt?
Here.
Mr. Robbins?
Here.
Mr. Brower?
Here. We do have a quorum, 6 of us, so we'll have to be careful with ties. Not these ties. Okay, we will start public participation. We appreciate those that have come in to speak to the council. You are welcome at all of our meetings to come and speak on any county business that doesn't have to be on the agenda for the opening or the closing participation, but something that the council might work on in the future. You will have 3 minutes to speak. Please make sure that the microphone is right in front of your mouth so everybody can hear you. There is a timer on the monitor in front of you and in the screens over my head. We're going to hold you to 3 minutes because we've got a lot of people that would like to participate. The first up today is Keith Chester. And please, when you come up, just tell us what area of the county you're from. You don't have to give your full address for safety reasons, but your representative would like to know where you're from.
DeLand. At a meeting on February 18th, 2020, that took place at the historic courthouse, there was a joint meeting between the county council, the Forever Committee, and the ECHO Committee. At that meeting, it was to be discussed about possibly placing ECHO and Forever back on the ballot to be extended for 20 more years. And at that meeting, the then chair, Pat Norley of the ECHO board, presented a list of things that they were interested in possibly having changed prior to the ballot measure going to the voters. It was discussed, Deb Denny's at that meeting, who was a council member at the time, said if you change anything before it going to the voters, the voters will probably not vote in favor of Echo. So it was deceitful, and they decided, instead of letting the voters know the plan, possible plan changes, that they would just present it as it was, let the voters vote, then come back, and then they would make the changes after the vote. That's exactly what happened with many of the requested changes that were presented that day. One of those changes was prior to 2020, or in 2020, there was a rule that for the ECHO grants, for restoration grants and expansion grants, they had to have a period of at least 30 years of life. And for new projects, they had to have a period of at least 40 years of life. That'd be monitoring and actual operations. Unfortunately, that was changed after the citizens voted, deceitfully, I think, after the citizens voted, to 20 years for everything. We were promised legacy projects with Echo and Forever. Legacy's not 20 years. Legacy is that park you went to when you were a child that's still there today, and you can take your kids to. I think that this is going to become a big problem, because we now have changed where grant applicants can ask for up to $2.5 million, and all they have to do is go for a 20-year period. Think about that. All of us could come together and we could start a nonprofit, and we get a $2.5 million grant in 20 short years. Hell, we could retire and sell it all off, because that's what can happen after the cycles ran. And we've had several that we've already rescinded, the county has, and was able to get their money back. Well, that might not have happened if these new rules were in place for 20 years. You've got grants here from a bunch of them, y'all have the list. It's very
Thank you.
important. Please bring it up today and get it moving, because you have grants in the process. Thank you.
Keith. Gregory Renasak. Good morning, council members and staff. My name is Gregory Rensack. I live in Crestwind Deland. At the July 21st County Council meeting, a resident spoke in favor of the truck plaza proposed to be built adjacent to our community near the I-4 and State Route 44 interchange. I would like to address his comments. It should be noted that the speaker did not refute any of the points made in opposition to the truck plaza over the past several months. Rather, he stated that all services are provided through semi-trucks in some way, and that a truck stop is long overdue in this area. He also indicated that the area already has commercial development. I assume he was referring to the abandoned hotel and the existing gas station and convenience store. We do not disagree that additional truck parking is needed along I-4. In fact, an FDOT study identified the need for an additional 720 parking spaces along the I-4 corridor. However, the study did not identify the State Route 44 interchange as an area of need. State and federal departments of transportation recently announced 5 new truck parking facilities to be built along I-4. Ground has already been broken on the 132-space Sanford facility. Within a year, ground will be broken on 2 facilities about 10 miles east of the proposed truck plaza location, one eastbound and one westbound on I-4, with a total of 540 spots. Lastly, there are 2 additional facilities, one each in Orange and Osceola counties, totaling 245 spots. These 5 facilities will provide nearly 920 additional spots, or about 25% more than the need identified by FDOT. In addition, there are several existing full-service truck plazas along the I-4 corridor, as well as on I-95 near I-4. When the speaker stated that truck parking was needed along I-4, he failed to mention these new truck parking facilities that most likely will be available before this proposed truck plaza would be completed. Given these new facilities announced by state and federal departments, is there truly a need for a 24-hour truck plaza that will surely disrupt life for the residents in the adjacent 55-plus community? Is this plaza consistent with the county plan? It is not a question of whether or not the property owners can develop the land.
Rather, it is a question of whether or not they should be allowed to do so in this way. These are questions that must be answered by the county planners and ultimately the county council. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you for your comments. Dick McCormick.
Good morning. Good morning, council and staff. I'm Dick McCormick. I'm a retired neurologist, lived in the DeLand area since 1979, and I live in DeLeon Springs now. I'd like to discuss the issue of data centers. The proposed moratorium of 6 months is a good place to start. And I'd like to point out that I'm not aware of anybody in my circle of friends who is in support of having data centers in our county. First of all, these data centers they're purely extractive. They take our water in huge quantities, they consume our energy, and produce relentless 24/7 noise. They produce large quantities of emissions when running on their generators. They're like coal mines. They take and they give nothing back to make our communities better. Water extraction, think about this, water extraction back in the 80s, and I know many of you remember that, for freeze protection produced numerous sinkholes in our area due to the underlying karst geology. Growth beachside also was accompanied by so much saltwater intrusion that we had to drill wells all the way out 44, and currently they extend past Samsula. These data centers will only amplify the pressure on our already fragile aquifer. We really must listen to the lessons of the past, and we really need to learn from them. These centers require huge amounts of electrical energy, which our grid cannot support. Turbines and diesel generators are the option, with all of their attendant noise and pollution. Folks living with these centers are experiencing 24/7 unremitting noise. Scarily, this is really scary. On June 2nd of this year, the U.S. Department of Energy demanded that the data centers in the northeast of this country, which drew from the common grid, go on backup power because the outside temperatures are so high that the grid was in danger of collapsing. Very scary. Employment opportunities, think about this, locally, they'll be very limited because the technicians, they're going to be provided by the companies, not us. Furthermore, when they become obsolete, and they will, who will be responsible for the dismantling and cleanup of these centers? In summary, data centers bring nothing positive to our county and will only create more issues related to our already strained water supply and energy supply, as well as our air quality and increasing noise 24/7. We truly should look seriously at what we need to do countywide, legally and with planning and zoning to enable us to ban them effectively. I believe we need more than 6 months to accomplish this, and in my opinion, an 18-month moratorium would give us the time to do this effectively, thoroughly, and to take
Thank
in
you
the
for your
needs of
comments.
everyone. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for your comments. John Nicholson.
John Nicholson, Daytona Beachside. One, if you recall the last meeting, I made a comment about the property tax item that was going to go on the ballot. 3 days later, came out in the newspaper. All right. It really needs to be flushed out. I know there are two of you that on here that are absolutely in favor of it. I was just speaking to a regular, he's in favor of it. Papers say, oh, no, it's not going to pass. Well, we don't know that. All right. Years ago, we were doing a half-penny sales tax. We were told, oh, yes, it'll pass, no problem. There are no issues. Sure enough, there were issues lying right underneath the table. The failure of the county to pass a impact fee for 17 years graded on the residents, and they voted it down. We need that half-penny sales tax, but we voted it down anyway. We may or may not need this, but there's no discussion on it. We don't know how you all feel about it. It's a Republican issue. Republicans kind of rubber stamp. They're in control in Tallahassee. As you know, I'm a registered Democrat. I voted a straight Republican governor since Lawton Chiles. This will probably the first year in the 30 years that I'll probably vote for a Democratic governor. There is not a good Democrat governor running. It's unfortunate that Trump endorsed him within hours of his saying that he's going to run before anybody else had a chance to even debate whether there were going to be a better governor than him. So we may not have a good governor. As you know, it's the Republicans that are pushing to end home rule. I'm a big favor of home rule. I don't like the Democrats pushing the ending of home rule. I don't like the Republicans taking away all of our ability to govern our own city. So we really, really, really need to discuss this. We need to know how you all feel. So what side are you on, Matt, and why? What side are you on, David, and why? Because you always give good reasons why you do what you do. So if there are valid reasons to pass this, then I don't see a problem with it. If there are loopholes and problems, we're going to find out about it too late. All right. So I'm asking you, please pay attention to what we as citizens do not know. You know a heck of a lot more than we do because of the information that you're fed. We don't get this. All we get is what's in the newspaper and what's on the internet. They're not always right.
Thank you for your comments. Greg Campbell? I'm taking it's Greta.
It is. I'm like,
I'm great.
Hey, Greg.
good morning. I'm Greta Campbell, and I just want to point this out to Mr. Dempsey. Dear Mr. Dempsey and honorable members of the DeLand County Council, I'm writing to bring you to immediate attention to the conditions of Union Cemetery in DeLand, Florida, a historic African American cemetery that has been neglected and abandoned. This cemetery is an important part of our community. History deserves to be treated with dignity and respect. Many of the graves and the surrounding property appear to have been left without proper maintenance. This is sacred site has fallen into disrepair, which is concerning. I respectfully ask that the DeLand County Council investigate the condition of Union Cemetery, determine who is responsible for its upkeep, and take action to restore, preserve, and maintain it. Our ancestors deserve to rest in peace, and their final resting place deserves the same care, dignity, and respect afforded to all historic cemeteries. I, Greta Campbell, have tried to contact Mr. Dempsey multiple times at his office, cell phone, and email. Unfortunately, there's been no response. Throughout this process, the only people who assisted me were Kimberly Redding, Volusia County Council Office, Patricia Godusco, in the historic at the Capitol Building in Tallahassee, Florida. Thank you for your time, attention, and commitment to preserving the history of our community. I look forward to your response and to seeing meaningful actions taken on this important matter. Greta.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming in. Katie Bonner?
Good morning. My name is Katie Bonner, and I'm a Volusia County resident, Daytona Beach. I'm here today regarding permit number 202-6060-4002, and I'm formally requesting a reasonable modification and financial accommodation under the Federal Fair Housing Amendments Act in Title II to modify my home, making it handicap accessible for my minor children. Specifically, I am asking this council to waive $805 zoning variance application fee, the public notice fees, and the legal advertising fees associated with my file. As documented in official letter from my children's pediatrician I provided to the county, this protective screen barrier is medically necessary and is considered a protective barrier. It is a 12 by 12. I am requesting these waivers because I am trying to build this safety barrier at my home for my children who have autism. Safety is a constant round-the-clock worry, and my children need a secure outdoor space where they can safely enjoy being outdoors. If they attempt to open the front door and head outside, this protective barrier gives me the crucial seconds I need to catch them before they enter the street. To compound these challenges, I manage a personal seizure condition myself. Dealing with these chronic health issues while trying to navigate the daily needs of multiple children makes these mounting permitting and advertising costs a financial barrier. Under the federal law, individuals with disabilities are entitled to reasonable modifications that ensure equal housing opportunities and safety. And that includes relief from financial hurdles that prevent them from keeping our homes safe. Because of, with the pediatrician's confirmation of medical necessity, I am simply asking the council to uphold the spirit of the Fair Housing Act and grant the waiver of these variance notice and the advertising fees so I can keep my children safe. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments. You'll be contacted when you go out this way if you want to talk to Ray Tyner, who's shaking his head over there.
Okay.
We'll start.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming in. Rebecca Manjali.
Good morning. My name is Rebecca Mangali. Thank you. This is my 5-year-old. Last Tuesday morning at approximately 8:30 in the morning, we were walking to our car. We were stopped by a neighbor, a male figure, who decided to stop and verbally curse at my daughter and I. That's what you call a good character neighbor, right? So essentially what's going on Hope Street in Ormond Beach is this is a picture of our platted subdivision. There are 4 highlighted homes that are seeking permits to have in front of their homes paved because a illegal road paving project started in 2024. It is now 2026. Can we go to the next page? This shows our current road that extends all the way to Harmony. So out of the submitted permit, only 4 homes are included from the platted subdivision. Next image. There's debate on who the road belongs to. Initially, when I called about this project in 2024, because we wanted to do this the right way, there was a lot of fees associated with it, and this didn't make people happy in the neighborhood. So we continued laying asphalt millings, which you could see here clearly everybody contributes. It asks for collecting of $150 per home, 13 of those paid. Next slide. And there we say, woo-ha, 100% of people have paid for the road. But now there's discrepancy as to why we are not being included in any of the decisions. Why is it that we are a platted subdivision, but only 4 homes have been submitted for permitting when yet you're not conversing with the other neighbors? Next slide. This once again is showing the drawings that were submitted to the county for permit approval. That is a portion of the road. It shows the part that has already been paved illegally, unpermitted, and then it requests additional permit and retroactive permitting of those homes. Next slide. Here shows the paved road. Those are some very nice swales. Keep going, please. Those roads are expected to drain in canals. This is the drainage canal next to my home in my neighbor's yard that has been filled in with debris. Next slide. Here shows this beautiful ending of a road going onto the impervious transitioning to pervious. Next slide. Here is what it looks like during the unpermitted work and all the dust we have to deal with. Continue. Here are text messages dated from 2025. There's 14 people included in this where we start asking, hey, can we have a meeting? Can we talk about proper permitting? Can we talk about proper drainage? Next slide. That text message there tells me that someone is going to pave halfway to the middle of the road and exclude mine. This is what I've been dealing with for the past 2 years. I ask for help. Our neighbors ask for help.
Thank you. That concludes public comments for the opening of our meeting today. Takes us to item 1, approval of the agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve by Vice Chair Reinhardt. And the second was by Councilman Robbins. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the motion is approved. And so we will move on to the consent agenda, which is item 2. Does any council member have an item they would like to pull for discussion or a vote? Councilman Kent.
No, Chairman, I do not. I'm just going to make a motion to approve if no one else has.
Second.
Okay, I would like to pull item I so that we can discuss it. So will you?
Item I just for a discussion? Or do you want to vote on it?
And a vote.
Okay. Motion to approve the consent agenda as presented, absent item I.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Still Vice Chair Reinhardt. Okay. Before I call for the vote, or is there any comments on any of the items? Carissa, do we have anybody that wants to speak on the consent agenda? Okay, thank you. All in favor of the consent agenda, excluding item I, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And item I is passed. Or the consent agenda is passed 6-0. So we will move to item I. Which is, this is our internal auditor. Jonathan, you're going to tell us about your report?
Sure.
Okay. This is Jonathan Edwards. He is the county's internal auditor. He makes audits of various departments and has been since
started in December of 2019.
Okay.
All right, there we go. All right, good morning. My name is Jonathan Edwards. I'm the internal auditor, and we're here to discuss the audit of building inspections within the Growth and Resource Management Department. In fiscal year 2025, county inspectors conducted 33,705 inspections across residential and commercial properties. We tested 100 of those inspections. The objectives of the audit were to ensure the adequacy and effectiveness of controls over the building inspections program and to assess compliance with policy, laws, and regulations. We identified opportunities to strengthen the conflict of interest procedures, assignment protocols, and fee controls. Control gaps that created conditions where preferential treatment could occur without detection, documentation, or accountability. One tested permit showed all 3 weaknesses at once. Excuse me. This permit was applied for by the then chief building inspector. During routine audit testing, we found 6 issues. Fees were recalculated 3 times with no documentation. The $55 application fee was not charged. 80% of the inspections were performed by inspectors outside their normal geographic assignments. A quote, siding inspection on a building that contained no siding was performed, and that automatically extended the permit without charging the applicant a $25 extension fee. Unlicensed staff made technical classifications, and the supervisor approval was captured only as a typed comment with no signature or initials documented in the system. What this permit illustrates is not necessarily intentional misconduct, but that controls were able to prevent, that controls were absent to prevent and detect these issues. The Association of Certified Fraud Examiners calls conflicts of interest one of the hardest fraud schemes to detect, since there is no reliable detection method. They further state that even the appearance of a conflict can be as damaging as the real thing. Without procedures in place, it took audit testing, not the county's own controls, to surface this permit and resulting inspections. When we raised this issue with the GRM director during the audit, He requested an HR investigation. Excuse me. Prior to its conclusion, 3 inspectors separated from employment. To strengthen the county's controls, we recommend annual conflict of interest disclosure forms, written assignment protocols with GPS-based review, restricting classification edits to licensed staff, and removing the ability to auto-extend a permit. On disclosure forms, management partially agreed, pointing to an existing ethics policy and a 1-hour training as sufficient. We see those as different tools. Training teaches concepts. Disclosure reveals the specific relationships that may affect assignment decisions. Since 2008, over 8,000 permits have expired without final inspection. 4,637 of those involved life safety systems, and over 3,800 involved property or structure systems. The Amanda system, which is the permitting system, generates a daily expired permitting report. However, that report appears not to be acted on. There are no procedures for contacting permit holders, conducting field visits, or escalating to code compliance to close out the permit. The Florida Building Code anticipates that permits may expire and has procedures for handling those. It gives the county the authority to administratively close the permits after 6 years if the county determines that no safety hazard exists. However, the county lacks processes for making that safety hazard determination. Code compliance is the county's designated enforcement office, but it operates on a complaint basis. Nobody complains about a permit that quietly expired away in a database. Without a required referral, these permits have no path for review. To address this control gap, we recommended permit lifecycle tracking, an escalation process to code compliance, and use of the Florida Building Code to close qualifying permits. Management partially agreed, preferring a risk-based approach over mandatory referral for every permit. A risk-based approach is reasonable in concept. However, the statute requires that the county determine that no safety hazard exists before closing out the permit. Without documented criteria, there's no way to confirm that determination is actually being made. The audit also identified approximately $400,000 in estimated annual revenue loss across 3 different issues. When inspections are completed, the inspectors select the result type from a drop-down menu. The system offers several options beyond a simple pass or fail, but none of those were formally defined until we were asking questions and asking what the differences were. In working with staff, they also struggle to explain and define those results. That leaves inspectors interpreting overlapping categories with no consistent guidance. The largest piece, $382,000, stems from how inspectors code the failed inspections. When work fails, inspectors are supposed to mark it as fail, which triggers a reinspection. Instead, the inspectors routinely code failures as partial, which triggers no fee. Prior to us asking, the definitions in the system, as I said, had never been formally documented, so inspectors were using their own judgment, which we found inconsistent across our testing. Staff expressed confusion about these definitions and their differences. The second issue, the $21,500, is a statutory compliance gap. State law allows reinspection fees to be 4 times the standard rate for repeat violations of the same deficiency. The county charges the standard rate regardless. Keep in mind, the statute allows the permit holder to receive 1 inspection and 1 freebie to correct any deficiencies. So we're talking about when the inspector has to perform an inspection for the same deficiency more than twice. As management has pointed out in their responses, the statute's phrase, if a local government finds it necessary, has been interpreted differently across Florida jurisdictions, and the county retains the discretion in applying the escalated fee. That authority has been given to the chief building official and his inspectors. However, discretion without documented criteria does not provide more consistency than the current approach. What is needed is clear criteria, clear definitions, and further training to help ensure that the county is applying the statute consistently. Separately, the county loses money on every reinspection regardless. It costs about $86.74 to conduct one, but the fee is only $58.46. The applicants who are doing it right and get it right the first time are the ones who are footing the bill for those repeat offenders. One permit in fiscal year 2025 needed 5 reinspections for the same deficiency issue. The third issue is the all-use group, the AUG, excuse me, the AUG occupancy classification, which is used typically for sheds and garage-type buildings. It has been held at $15 per square foot since 2006, while every other classification has been updated. Current data would put the comparable rate at $27.18. Management partially agreed here, citing a concern about generating surplus revenue in the building fund, which is a very fair concern, but managing the fund balance is a separate question from whether the fee reflects current cost. This council has directed staff to make incremental, regular fee updates rather than infrequent, disruptive ones, and this recommendation is simply following that recommendation and direction. If updating the AUG creates a surplus, that's a separate decision for staff to bring back to council, not a reason to leave the rate frozen for 2 decades. Our recommendations are to formally define and standardize the inspection result categories, implements Florida Statute 553.80, which escalates the reinspection fee, and updating the AUG classification rates. These 3 steps target the gaps behind the $400,000 estimate. Excuse me. Two remaining findings: documentation gaps and monitoring gaps. On documentation, we found the certificate of completion was issued on a building with an unresolved flood elevation deficiency. The fix existed only in an email from the former chief building official, and no one else could access it until the plans examiner returned from vacation. On monitoring, the division tracks only inspection volume, which says nothing about the quality or the consistency of the inspections being performed. We recommend tracking pass rates, reinspection rates, the failure reasons, and the closeout times. These same indicators were independently recommended by their consultant in April of 2025. There's also no independent quality assurance review. Oversight today is the chief building inspector who is reviewing his own subordinates' work. That is useful, but is still internal to the same chain of command, and it competes with the chief's own workload of assigning and managing the daily operations. Our recommendation is for a separate independent reviewer, someone outside that reporting line, to periodically sample a random selection of completed inspections and verify that those results is matching what was done in the field. This would help ensure consistency in applying the Florida Building Code, help identify training needs, and integrate customer feedback. To close these gaps, we recommend a formal quality assurance and improvement program with quarterly KPI or key performance indicators, reporting to the GRM director, a CO or COC issuance checklist required before permit is closed out. Together, these give the division a way to catch quality and documentation problems on its own and not reliant on an audit. These recommendations are opportunities to strengthen the existing controls so that similar issues can be prevented, detected, or corrected going forward. Most of these are procedural fixes, and management agreed with the majority and has committed to implementation by September, and several have already been completed. I thank staff for their cooperativeness and assistance throughout the audit. I know they're very busy and have a lot on their plates.
Thank you. I have a couple questions for you. I think Councilman Robbins does as well. Before I start, I want to let the public know that this has been in the paper. It's all over social media, which is why I pulled it. I want the public and the press to hear exactly the process that you went through. We have talked several times about it. I don't think that there is no big gotcha that I'm looking for here. I'm not looking, sorry, to make news with a gotcha. I want everybody to hear what the county went through, what you went through. You did really good work here, and this is why you're here. And I don't think, well, let me ask you, is in your investigation, this is a question everybody has. There's 2. This is the first one. Did you find evidence of any of our inspectors taking bribes or illegal money?
We did not find any
Okay.
evidence.
Did everybody hear that? So this is not a bribery case. This is not that we have smarmy people out taking money under the table. That could happen in positions like this. It did not here, as far as your investigation determined.
In our audit, we tested 100 inspections. We did not find that.
Yeah. Thank you. The other question that everybody has, and this is really where my questions will go, is I want everybody in the public to feel like they're getting treated just like everybody else, that nobody gets a preferential deal because I know them or my cousin's building the house or whatever. And then so those are the 2 big things. You got rid of the first one, no bribes. the other reason that I pulled it is that I do think the council should be making decisions on I'm going to just go through a couple of things where the county agreed with you on everything. On some items, they partially agreed, and those are the ones that I want to deal with. The first one is fees. You're right. The council has instructed staff to let's raise fees incrementally if we need to because prices go up, not have one great big fee raise at one time. That was your one of the first things that the county partially agreed with you on. Should we forgive fees for people that are coming back? They failed, so we have to go back and reinspect. Now, sometimes there's reasons for that, and I think that will come out. But the council should give staff directions. Do we want to make a policy that that people are charged a reinspection fee when they pass? And if we do that, there is a cap to how much money the department can bring in. It's capped by state law. If we do that, there's a possibility that we could actually reduce the fees of everybody's first permit fee. These are people building their houses or making repairs. They're already spending a ton of money. It's expensive. I'm not looking to pile more permit fees on them. I just want it to be fair across the board and safe. That's the goal is safety and fairness and a policy that the public understands. And I think that will come out here. So I'm going to hold that for a minute, but I want the council to keep it in mind. One of the things that you said, the council has directed staff on multiple occasions to provide regular incremental fee updates rather than infrequent large adjustments. That direction is not contingent on fund balance conditions. When the division absorbs years of cost increases without a corresponding fee adjustment, and then eventually corrects the result as large, more disruptive increases, which we have said on numerous occasions. So I'm going to ask the council at the end if they would like to deal with any of the fees. As I go through these, Danny, you're the only one up here. If you want to interrupt at anything I'm saying and ask a question on the same subject, you're welcome to, or I'll save it to the end.
That's fine, Chairman. Thank you for that for that leeway.
Okay.
Jonathan, real quick, in the 7 years that you've been here, I haven't heard of many instances. Like the chairman said, you do a pretty thorough kind of examination of everything, and so does our staff. Because the calculations I got is we're running at about a 99.9999 infinite kind of success rate with the policy that we have to date. What I'm looking to understand is whether or not we as a council should be getting involved in personnel and HR issues when that's a day-to-day operational. And you and I had this meeting where all these instances I see here, just for clarity and our role in this process, are all day-to-day operational, I believe, issues that can be handled or should be handled here between yourself and staff. So what I'm looking for, staff, is do you have kind of an explanation of what you've gone through just for the public, and hopefully it stays in your court as it should. Thank you.
So you're asking me as far as the HR part of it. As he stated in in his report, he found issues. HR was alerted, and people were then investigated. During that investigation, several of those people chose to leave, so they're no longer with us. On top of that, you had a significant retirement of a chief building official, and you also had a department head change. So I can assure you, with all that happening, the culture of the whole division has been thoroughly looked at and is changing under the direction of the new department head and the new building official. So,
As a whole, county manager, would you say this is, these issues are, we always strive for perfection, but with our track record here, what other policy changes, recommendations do you think, are we trying to hit that 100%? How much is it going to cost us? I mean, I'm
well, I
being
mean,
facetious.
I think that's something that we're working with the auditor and with our staff to achieve. Again, we want perfection. Sometimes perfection, is a returning rate if you as you near 100%. But again, we've been pretty effective. We agreed with all of his recommendations. There were partial agreements where there would be a nuance or a part of that recommendation that may be difficult, or there may be some other reason, and we're working through those with them and the team right now as we speak. I think Ray Tyner has done an excellent job already with assessing the situation. He is in the report you'll see attached his recommendations and explanations of why some of the things might not be exactly as the auditor reported. I mean, the recommendations of what he would like to do going forward. And that's, again, he has been doing these for 7 years. We've done a lot of good work together. We'll continue to do that. And we haven't agreed with everything that has come out every time. And we work and we improve it. He comes back and he'll look for improvement in this area as part of his job as he circles back to work with us to make sure we're having progress in those areas. So that'll continue. And that's exactly the process of improvement that we're trying to really have. And I appreciate the chair's comment of saying, it's not about an I got you. It's about how do we improve, where do we have gaps, and then we try to go fill those gaps. In this case, we did have some employees that were not doing exactly what they were supposed to be doing. They're no longer here. And that's the ultimate change that I can make in those situations. And then we have other situations. There were things that he didn't really mention as much, but gaps in our computer system and our software, and making sure things are tied down tighter and who has access. That's very concerning to me when we have those things, and we've already resolved that some of the things that he brought to our attention, and we go fix immediately. We don't wait for for this meeting to occur. He gets on it, and our team gets on it, and we fix it if we find that particular gap. So again, it's supposed to be a process of constant improvement, and but you have to start somewhere, and Jonathan's work is where we start often with finding those gaps. So
Thank you, George. And real quick, Jonathan, during our conversation, we talked about the building department. I just want to make sure this is correct. Building department, we're not losing money, but we're not making money, correct?
Correct.
You could say it, yes. And we're not supposed to be making money, right? It's winding up like a couple other municipalities that are going through some issues right now. So council, Chairman, if you mind if I make a comment, or going to wait, or you have any more
Yeah,
questions?
can you wait until we get done with,
Yes,
with questions? Yeah, 'cause two other council member has questions too. I want to finish with one of the questions on recommendation 1E, and this is the one that is really important to me because of what I said at the beginning, that I want everybody in the public to feel like they're being treated fairly, that an inspector doesn't go out and his cousin Vinny is on the job, and so he gets a pass no matter what. On 1E, the county's response, well, your request was that the county incorporates a conflict of interest policy. And the county response was partial agreement, partial disagreement. We disagree with this part, with requiring inspectors to review, sign, and date conflict of interest disclosure forms annually. And I would like to hear from the county manager or whoever you want to answer this, of why that just wasn't accepted. Why do we disagree with these conflict of interest forms?
one thing I can jump in on the legal side of things, and management may want to jump in. So, one thing I would recommend whenever we do these, I think, one question I always have is the term best practice is used a lot. Well, when you say that, I think it's important to point to who else is doing it. I'm not aware of a conflict of interest formed. What I'm aware of is a financial disclosure requirement. All of you do that. I do that. Other designated staff and statute do that because we're considered what they call local officers. So usually now governments can expand that list. You can designate other positions to file a financial disclosure form. What's a financial disclosure form? Try to disclose where you get your income and what other potential financial conflicts you could have. So if you're interested in having that discussion, that's what I would recommend you discuss. And I wouldn't say just with this particular group. What classes of employees would you want to expand to make those local officers? These are state certified positions. They're required to go through training when they start, including ethics. And they can be subject to action on that certification by the state. So that's another layer as well. We also have ethics requirements already in our code that apply to everybody that would address these types of situations. So happy to answer questions if you have them. I think if you do want to talk about it, I think it should be in the context of that financial disclosure discussion. Do you want to expand that list or not?
Okay. I'm really looking to, and I think they have a policy to prevent now, since this has been brought up, and maybe before, there's a policy to prevent this before there's a financial exchange made. George, isn't there, don't you have a procedure to make sure that if an inspector's going out and his brother-in-law or cousin is on the job, that he sends somebody else? Or isn't there a procedure like that already, or is there a procedure?
No, there's not, because just like sending a police officer to a situation, I mean, they have to make decisions, and and like I say, they have ethics training, they have ethics rule, they have licenses. So to insinuate that someone would favor and lose their license and their livelihood because their brother-in-law is hammering nails up on the roof, I think is a little bit of a stretch. Again, if you bag groceries at Winn-Dixie, 5 years later, you're now an inspector and you got to go work on a project, a rehabilitation project on a Winn-Dixie. I don't think you're going to favor Winn-Dixie because you bag groceries there, you did something. So what level, where does it start and stop? And I think that's some of the question. Again, we also have a chief building official who oversees the work, and there's a lot of, I think, policing that goes on by just having good supervision and what's happening on the project, to follow the project. I mean, Ray can speak to, if you had a direct relative or something, maybe as the owner of the house. But also keep in mind, we're a small town. We have a limited amount of inspectors. And so, I think we try the best we can to avoid any kind of a conflict. And again, that's what I leave to Ray and his folks to do. But I've never really seen a situation where, again, if you've ever worked at that company or had some connection in the past, you couldn't go back in years later and be an inspector or an engineer or many other things. As Mike says, there are other positions in the government then I think you'd have to take a look at and decide where decisions are made. I mean, you might have worked at, a company that, maybe now we're buying stuff from. But again, Mike can go over the levels of where, if you're a principal in that company, that's one thing versus being just an employee. So
one thing it may be one another presentation on it. If you go to your code of ordinances, 86-43, there's a series of ethical requirements that apply to all of your employees. And there's a section on conflicts of interest. It's rather specific. It largely follows state law, and it's a bit more restrictive in some areas. And I just think it's important that folks know that that applies to all of us. So if there's questions about that or changes you want to make, we're happy to discuss it with you.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to let the other council members speak, but that one was in particular a concern to me because I think it's human nature that if an inspector goes to a job and his best friend, cousin, family member is there, it could be hard not to fudge a little bit, especially if there's no record through the Amanda system, emails or whatever. If nothing has to be reported, it's just so I still have a concern with that. Councilman Kent.
Chairman, I only have comments, no questions, so I'll yield until the questions are all asked.
Vice Chair Reinhardt.
Thank you, Chair. Jonathan, I just have one question. So if you can go back a couple slides, one more there. And it's just, forgive my ignorance, and I guess what stood out to me, the second item, $21,500 statutory noncompliance, county collected $7,178, should have been 28. But it says Florida statute allows 4 times. That would be up to? Is that discretionary?
Correct.
Okay, so that number is based on the 4 times?
Correct.
So it could be that, or it could be a lot less if they went 1 time, correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right. So I just, it looks like it's a wow, like $28,000 when it could be significantly less if that was the case, that they didn't charge up to the 4 times.
Should say could have.
Could have. Okay. Thank you. I appreciate it. That's all I had, Chair. Thank you.
Councilman Johansson, did you have a question or a comment? Okay. Councilman Santiago for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Maybe this is a question for our other staff. Because the question is around inspectors, I think that was one of the commentaries. When we send an inspector over to a site to inspect, what is their job?
Their job is to inspect to make sure they meet the Florida Building Code.
That the project, whatever was done properly.
That's right. That's right. They're licensed. They're trained. They could be trained to be an electrical inspector or a plumbing inspector. And if that inspection is done, they're there to make sure that it is constructed in accordance with the code.
You think that an inspector inspecting a relative's, a cousin's, or someone's house would approve of a project that was done subpar?
No, sir, I don't.
Okay, I didn't think so. Thank you.
Councilman Kent for a comment.
Thanks, Chairman. So, Mr. Edwards, you can't see what I wrote down up here, but next to your name, I wrote one word: bravo. When you work in the public like this, we bring people up for proclamations and some wonderful things, and we applaud them. We get pictures with them. But when you work in the public, you got to talk about the ugly things as well. And fortunately, in the 3.5 years that I've been sitting in this rented seat, there's only been 2 moments where I think it's gotten a little ugly. And the first one was the issue at the Ocean Center where people were, give me the cash, I'll put it on my credit card. Like, my jaw dropped. I was like, what is going on? Disgusted by that. And some of the things I've read and heard today disgust me as well. But it happens in the public domain, so we're going to talk about it in the public domain. For me, council, the thing that jumps out at me, in addition to the inappropriateness we heard about and people leaving, was the total estimated annual revenue impact of $400,000+. So, Chairman, I'll just tell you right now, I feel like if there's a reinspection absolutely that fee needs to be collected. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And then I'll just tell you, as far as the AUG rate, not updated for 19 years, because, you know, I've been adamant about you don't hammer anybody over the head with a club. You know, you do small incremental increases. But if this is something that is needed, I am one that if it hasn't been done in 20 years, you know, you got to get it right. You got to get that number correct. So if you have to do a big increase, you have to do a big increase. And then moving forward, there's small incremental increases after that time. I think all of the fixes that you put out for us to follow, I think they're appropriate. And I look forward to talking to staff about why only some of them partial implementations, because I think that yet again, you've done your job very well, and you presented real problems and then also possible problems that could happen. And I'm appreciative of that, so that we can then kind of stop, reassess, make a plan, and fix it so that we don't have these problems continuing to happen. I too like to think, Chairman, that if someone was inspecting something and they knew someone, they wouldn't fudge anything. But man, you're dealing with humans, you know? These aren't angels, you know? These are humans on earth. And yeah, I almost feel like if something were implemented in place to where if an inspector had a family member and or close friend, they could still inspect the property, but there needs to be something on the form that they alert the supervisor, hey, heads up, I'm doing this, but I want you to know, you know, sort of like we disclose, hey, we talked to this applicant, met with us privately about something. We disclose that here publicly. I almost feel like there should be a button they can press so that their boss at the end of the day or at the end of the week or at the beginning of the week can say, hey, so I appreciate you telling me about that. I want to make sure everything's good to go. You know, I know it is because I know you as an employee type of thing. I think that could solve it. Thanks.
Yeah, great. Councilman Johansson.
Thank you, sir. And Jonathan, thank you for your audit, as always, very thorough. So there are a few policies that I think we can adjust here. They've been reported. George is looking at them. I'm sure he'll bring them to us once he's done his research on possible fee structure changes and things of that nature. But like all things, we can't negate risk unless we stay in our houses and put bubble wrap around us and not go out and sample the beauties of the world. And I think this is one of them where, as Councilman Robbins said, we're at 99 point something %. Does Mr. Tyner assume some risk? You bet he does. Does George assume some risk? You bet he does. But at some point, you can't spend all that time and energy to get to zero risk. I didn't do it my time in the military. We don't do it every time we get in a car. We try to make our cars safer, but people still die in cars every day. So I think we're tracking here. I appreciate the chairman's but his letting the public know that the social media and the news may have indicated things may be wrong. We've determined that there's fixes that need to be in place, but there's no smoking gun, so to speak. So I think we press on with this and allow George to give us some recommendations on how to improve policy. The county manager brings up a good point, though. This is a small county. I moved here 12 years ago, and I'm sure there are others in this county that aren't related to anybody in this county, but I've met a heck of a lot of people that are related or otherwise good friends with people in this county. when it comes to my time as a city manager, building officials and folks of that nature have either worked for a civilian organization, will go work for a civilian organization, have been in construction or will go to construction, know the people that are working on these subdivisions and homes and permits, and it's hard not to have relationships. But I rely on the professionalism of the folks here and the culture that Volusia County management and folks have to keep it as honest as you can, knowing that we have leaders like Ray and George and Suzanne in this particular situation that can address those when they find them and correct them as necessary quickly. So pending George's recommendations and possible policy changes here based on this audit, of which some of which he's agreed to, I think we're good to go for now, from my perspective. Thank you.
Okay, George, I'm going to let you close this out. Councilman Santiago has another comment before then.
Do you want to let him go first? I just want to go on the record first. I'm not for any fee increases. We haven't been told that this silo under our budget approval is short of any funds, so absolutely no fee increases for me. And Matt, thanks for pointing out the should have been where it could be, because, and I think this audit showed definitely some improvements that could be made. Some have already been made. Some faces are no longer here that did find some problems. So I think we're on the path, as the chairman said, there are no smoking gun. I don't know if you said those words exactly, but I'll describe it that way. I think a lot of I sat down with the auditor and looked over this report prior to this too, as many of us did. I've seen a lot of management type of decisions in here that are in the realm of the county manager. For example, the fee stuff. So when I see an audit, I would be more preferable to see where are we in violation of certain statutes or internal policies. Recommendations for what we could have done are more opinion. It should lie on the path of our county manager. But an audit for me should be, we are in violation of X, Y, and Z, because opinions vary. We could have 100 different opinions here if I give you what the problem is. And so my ask is that I will not support any fee increases. And my ask is that as we move forward with audits, that they are less opinionated, but more in the factual pieces that identify violations in county policy or state law or federal laws. So, but I thank everybody for the work. I think it was a good exercise, and I think we're on the right path. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Before I call on George, I just want to say again to you, Mr. Edwards, that I've read the report several times. I didn't find an opinion in it. I found you went to other resources and found standard operating procedures and repeated those. That's not an opinion. That's just, this is what's happening in other places. And I agree that, if somebody goes to your home to inspect it and his brother-in-law is there, is he going to pass something over that would be unsafe? Probably not. But what concerns me, and George can deal with this if he cares to, as he wraps this up, is that we've had 3 people that don't work here anymore that did during your investigation. I think one of them might have retired. 2 of them are gone. That concerns me. Why were they gone? And so I do want to see, and I appreciate the recommendations that you made to tighten it up a little bit to keep a problem from happening. I think the county has done a good job with that. They've disagreed with you on a few things for reasons that you've heard here. But George, there's one more First, I'm going to let all the council people speak before you deal with this. Councilman Robbins.
Nothing other than chair. I didn't hear any policy changes from the council. I was just going to make a motion to accept the report.
Second.
Okay. Motion to accept by Councilman Robbins, second by Santiago, Councilman Santiago. I was going to make one. I'll mention that after, if I need to, after George speaks. County Manager.
Thank you. I do have a couple things I think need to be touched on a little bit more, or a little bit more clarification. The all-use group fee increase is in the works. I want to point out that there are many building fees, and all the others are tied to a CPI, I believe, so already. So that's why you only got one that somehow got left behind, and that'll get fixed. And again, that's for all use structures, typically like a metal building or something like that. So it's not a preponderance of work. So I just want everyone to understand that that's a unique category that kind of got left behind. The other part, actually, I'd like to have Susanna Ray speak to the potential lost revenue, 382,000, and the reinspection. There's there are methods in the field when you do construction, and when you get into the partial failure versus the total failure, I think that needs to be explained by these guys. Why the effect of that? Why an inspector would make that determination versus just an absolute no, and what that does to all the workers and what that does to the project itself.
So basically, the philosophy of our building division is to try to work with that contractor and with that owner to get in compliance. That is the main thing. We're like it was stated earlier, it's not up to the building department to make money. Our permit fees pay for it, and we're sitting really good right now. But it is to get in compliance. You got a lot of mom and pops that are building out there, and so some small businesses, for example, and an inspector will go out. If it's not a life safety issue and they're going to come out the next day or that week for another inspection, they're almost there. If you fail it stops the whole process. You'll have to wait. They would have to wait to come out and get another called inspection to re-inspect that. So it is to keep that project moving forward. If it is a life safety hazard, we'll fail that inspection, and then we'll have to go back and do that. So, and then in some circumstances, you may have a phase project, like a commercial project, where you got numerous plumbing activities going on that site. So you go there and do like the first phase of the plumbing and kind of partial that, because you're going to need to come back and do the rest of the plumbing. So there's all different circumstances, and the folks that have the licenses have the ability to make sure it's not a life safety issue. And if they can partial that and come out the next day or 2 days to do another inspection, you're out there anyway to go ahead and take care of that. So that has been the philosophy, is to work with these owners. And then, if you do charge the more of an inspection fee, that's going to go to the homeowner. Typically we'll pay those inspection fees if it's a single family home, for example. But that has been the philosophy.
Thank you. Was anybody else going to speak? You spoke for everybody, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Councilman Santiago.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And there's exactly where I think this council has historically talked about making sure that on all levels of the departments within the county, to make it customer centric, right? The experience that our citizens interact, because what we've heard prior is that how heavy handed government has been, especially in these silos in the past and amongst other areas. So we don't want to risk quality or safety. Absolutely not. We won't give on that, right? But to work with homeowners and citizens in our county, as an individual council member, I say applaud that. amongst all the departments within the county. So we never sacrifice safety or violating any laws, but focusing on our constituents' service is key number one for me. That's my position.
Thank you. George, before I call on the vote, did you just say that fees are coming back and someone that we will discuss those?
Yeah, you're going to discuss fees later today. I don't know if this one's on there or not, but I don't think it is. But the all user group, that's a specific category of many other building fees. All the other building fees are tied already to CPI, so they're already have been dealt with. This is one category, which was, I'm glad was found. I don't know how it got missed, but it got missed. And that is, again, some of the value of having someone checking behind. They found that this fee had somehow been left behind. And because of that, possibly even was being misused as a category, because it's an all structure category. So people, I think, could put stuff in there, maybe seeing that it was not the right fee. And I think Jonathan addressed some of that in his discussion. So the idea, we need to tighten that up. It absolutely needs to be raised to where it needs to be. But I also want to let everyone know that that's one little fee out of tons of other fees that we're already taken care of. And again, that's the value of going back and looking to make sure nothing got left behind. And I want to reemphasize what Ray said. When you have he mentioned on plumbing or electrical, remember when you're building a structure, it's rare that you would do the entire plumbing for some of these at once. You're building the structure and then you're covering things up. And these guys have to go out there periodically as the project progresses. So there's going to be a lot of partial inspections on these various areas because they got to get out there. And again, if they pass that particular section, then they're free to go ahead and move to the next section. So they're going to partial a lot of things because it's going to be phased. So, I mean, I think that's just something that's, and if they're to charge every single time when they're going to go out there, you don't plumb the entire house necessarily and then inspect. You could, depending on the size of it, but if it's a commercial builder in another area, you may have to go in and do a section of it and then cover it up and then do the next section of it. So what we're doing in a lot of cases is taking advantage of the fact that our inspectors are multiple certified, so they can go on out. And again, they're out there for another reason. Why hit the person with another fee when you're out there anyway? And you can go ahead and finish up on some other idea that they were looking at, some other item. So again, it's just about being customer friendly. The cost ultimately does go back to the builder, the owner of the building or the structure. So again, we don't want our fees to be part of the, we hear it all the time. Oh my God, I have to pay all these impact fees. I got to pay all before I ever get my house. So, again, we're not trying to be part of that. We're trying to be efficient when we're out there. And that causes, yes, we maybe give up a little revenue in doing that. But again, it's being done so that our people can be efficient and work and have good customer service. That's really what it's all about. I don't want them out there ever thinking, geez, I can come back and make more money. That money should never be part of what they're thinking. Their thinking needs to be all about the quality. What do I need to do to make sure this is in compliance, that project's done correctly, and then we'll worry about what the cost of that is. It's we're not going to balance the budget with speed traps, and that type of thing. We have to do it with the correct way. But I appreciate it, and it is something to pay attention to. And I do agree with something that he said, most of what he said, but the idea is really, that's the point, is we will manage the balance of that fund. That's something that Ryan does, and we'll take a look and we'll see where that's at. That's not for the guys in the field to be worrying about where our fee balance and all that is. It is a separate issue, and that's something that gets managed at our level. And we'll come to you and say, hey, we're obviously because of the workload or what have you, there's too many fees coming in, and we need to cut that fee or give a discount or do something if we're going to go. We haven't had that happen yet, but it in theory could happen, as it apparently did in Daytona Beach.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. We have that satisfies me, what you've said about fees. That was a concern. Jonathan, before I call for the vote, thank you for this. You have an uncomfortable position. You're independent and yet you work with all of us. You pass everybody in the hall. And I appreciate that you do the hard things, and I appreciate how the county staff responds to you. And so it's good work. Thank you. And thank you, Ray, Mike, George, for your input. Sunshine it was the best way to deal with this because there was too many questions floating around. So all in favor of approving Jonathan's report, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the report is approved 6-0. All right. And that takes us to item 3, proclamation, which will be presented here in Chambers, Larry Langdon Day. And I believe Matt Reinhardt is going to do that.
Family. Family up there. Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Gentlemen, I said you wouldn't get through the day without me talking about corrections. So here you go. In my 30-year career, while out there, I had some notes, and I'll refer to some of them. A letter that I prepared. Larry was honored from Daytona State. He was one of their instructors for our cadets that went through the Academy for Corrections. Larry and I, we put, how many years were you total?
27.
27 years. So in my career as a lieutenant, we brought this young man on board, and he told some stories. Every time I go out to talk to the cadets at Daytona State, Larry would invite me, and that conversation went from about a half hour to about 3 hours, I think. But oftentimes Larry would honor me by telling his cadets about my career. Well, this is our time to do the same for him. I've often said anybody in the field of law enforcement or emergency services or first responders in general, heroes wear either badges or capes. We wear badges. So, and I came here today, I wanted to make sure that Larry was honored for his outstanding career as a trainer. He's probably by far, I've said this before, the absolute best, not one of, the absolute best trainer that has ever hit Volusia County as far as corrections and law enforcement in general. Phenomenal man, great husband, I'm sure, and great dad. So, but he is a pillar of this community, and I think he should be honored. There are several words that I came before I read the proclamation that came to mind that make me think of a leader. Integrity, accountability, empathy, humility, confidence, respect, reliability, commitment, empowerment, persuasiveness. But the key one I love is inspiration, because you're inspiration to so many that you have taught. There are so many people that have already reached out to me as we were talking today. Scott Stiltner, our mayor in Port Orange, said, make sure you give Larry my best. So he's probably one of the best who's ever come in contact. And I contradicted, and I'll say, no, he is the best. So without further ado, I'll get on with all the whereases. Whereas Larry Langdon began his career in Volusia County Division of Corrections as a correction officer trainee in 1994, rising through the ranks to captain in May 2013 and warden, replacing me in 2017. And whereas, as captain responsible for training and professional development, he possessed the rare gift of not only teaching policies, procedures, and techniques, but instilling confidence, professionalism, integrity, and pride in those he instructed. And whereas he understood that every recruit in his classroom would one day bear the responsibility for the safety and security of others, and he approached every class with dedication, preparation, and genuine care. Whereas he ultimately earned the position of warden, and he earned it. A well-deserved honor that reflected the respect of his peers, subordinates, and leadership, and he led with professionalism, humility, and character. Whereas, after retiring from Volusia County in January 2020, he continued serving his profession as an adjunct faculty member at Daytona State College's Criminal Justice Department, a position he held from August 1999 to June 2026, preparing the next generation of corrections officers from Volusia and Flagler counties. And whereas, beyond his professional accomplishments, Larry is a devoted husband to his wife Renee, a loving father, and a person of exceptional character who treats others with respect, compassion, and dignity. Now, therefore, we, the County Council of Volusia County, Florida, do hereby proclaim August 4th, 2026 as Larry Langdon Day in Volusia County. Invite all residents to honor this outstanding man for his service and dedication to the criminal justice system. Well deserved, my friend.
Oh, thank you, Councilman. Thank you so much. Thank you. County Council, thank you for taking the time for this. I appreciate it.
Want to have a few words?
Oh, no.
You don't get the proclamation if you don't speak.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you taking the time. You made me proud in front of my family, and that means a lot to me in front of this community. But truth be told, it has been my honor and privilege to serve Volusia County for all these years, and I am grateful for that opportunity. County Council, thank you so much.
Hold on one second. County Manager George Rectenwald.
Yeah, I just wanted to weigh in a little bit, Larry. I mean, a lot of times when I get called out to the jail, it's not always a good thing. And but I have to tell you, I've known Larry for quite a few years, and I would just say, every time I was out there, every time I interacted with Mr. Langdon, absolute professional. I don't think you could have said it any better in that proclamation. I'm glad you are imparting that and you're training people. You are the example of what I'd love to see out there. You are absolutely, so positive in a profession that needs it because of what you have to deal with on a daily basis. Thank you for continuing on by the process of teaching and training, and you're just a great asset to our whole community, and I want to thank you because I know it hasn't been easy. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks again. Yeah. All right.
And you got the nice frame.
You get up and also. One more.
Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you very much for your service. Okay, can I get a motion to approve this proclamation?
Second.
Motion to approve by Vice Chair Reinhardt, and second by Councilman Robbins. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is approved 5-0. We'll ask Troy when he comes in if he approves. Item 4 is presentation on the Volusia County Medical Examiner's Annual Report. And you are here. I know you've been busy the last couple days, so.
Yes, sir.
Dr.
All right, we're going to present directly from the PDF today. Did I get a clicker? Oh, glory. Oh, lovely. Outstanding. Welcome. Thank you for having me. I appreciate council for having me. I was reminded of a couple things during public comment. Someone mentioned legacy projects. And as a board certified forensic pathologist with 18 years experience, I'd like to submit to the county that the building you built me is a legacy project. I've been in it for 3 years now. It's performed exemplary at every level. It's built for the future. It is a multi-decade facility. I have no reservation saying that. I will be long dead by the time you repair that building. I promise you that. So, and there's a picture of it. The other thing I was reminded of was my executive summary is, number one, we're fully accredited yet again. We were inspected again. And there was some comments about, I I guess, nepotism and, people doing things that are dishonest, it should be pointed out that the National Association of Medical Examiners, their accreditation of us is an independent audit of our entire practice. They look at everything. And it's not Joe Blow off the street. It is a board certified forensic pathologist with zero financial ties to this county or myself that comes in and inspects our entire building, our procedures, our policies, and our personnel and our staffing. So that is in some ways an audit, if you will. All right, so now onto the presentation. Oh, the one last thing for the executive summary, in case you get bored with me, is that overdoses are down to baseline. We talk about that every year. We have finally made it back to our pre-COVID baseline for overdoses in this county. If you've been listening to me speak before, our old average was about 180. We went up to, unfortunately, 400 in 1 year, and now we're back down to about 180 again. So we have made progress in that. I'll just head off the questions before you ask them. Why is that? Lots of things changed, but I would point to the Recovery Alliance. I would point to law enforcement. I would report to all the projects the county has going that make life better for people and help people in recovery and also bring justice to those that need it. So, wrong way. Which way do I click? Oh, do I have to actually? There we go. Does it work? That's okay. Yeah, this is, I can just say next page. It's fine. This is just who I employ. Next page. This is the overview of the death investigation system in Florida. It's in every annual report. It shows the manners of death and then the statutes that govern my practice. Next slide. This is just basic demographics of the county. Next slide. This is who we service. This is the people we brought in. Generally speaking, it's middle-aged people. We do a few children, a few teenagers. We have a gross male preponderance. That's because risk-taking behavior is increased in men. That's just everywhere in the country. That's not surprising at any level. Next slide. So this is our jurisdictional requirements and what we brought in. These are cases that were called into us. We're autopsying or evaluating about half the people that are called into us. This is above the national average. You may ask why so many people call in, we decline. For instance, hospice patients are always called into us. It's expected, it's known, but they die at home. So we just want to be aware of what's going on and make sure there's nothing nefarious. And in fact, I think that's one of the hallmarks of the good job we're doing is that we do decline and take reports on a lot of natural deaths. If you don't hear about the 80-year-old lady that died with lung cancer, you don't have an opportunity to know that she died of an overdose. If no one tells you about it, right? So at least we're bringing those in at some level or doing some paper evaluation. Next slide. Jurisdiction by case. Obviously, quite a few accidents. Very few homicides, only 21 this year. Normally, we're a little above that. Or this is 2025, sorry. And of course, those are all getting autopsies. So nothing really changed except our overdoses, which dropped significantly. Next slide. This is accepting cases in blue and declines in red. You'll see we're quite consistent. I would point out there was a very big change between 2019 and 2020. That's largely due to COVID, but we're still bringing in quite a few cases compared to pre-COVID time. Next slide. Cremations, there's an error in this. I apologize. The actual number is 5,630. We missed a quarter in our calculation. We'll revise this. So cremation certificates are up slightly, which is not surprising given our growth. Next slide. Deaths by manner. This is something I haven't showed you before, but I thought you might be curious about it. My practice in natural death cases selects for heart disease because those are people that die suddenly and dramatically. Lots of people have renal failure, but I don't see them because they are seen by a physician. There's way more people dying suddenly and dramatically, unexpectedly from heart disease than renal disease, if that makes sense. So that's why that number is that way, and that's consistent across the country. As far as our accidental categories, you can see our drug-related 178, which is a vast improvement from past years. Transportation, motor vehicle collisions, slightly elevated. The falls are largely elderly people that fall and break a hip. Almost all of them, like 99% of those. The other ones are kind of spread out across the board. If anyone has a particular question, I can answer later. Next slide. Motor vehicle fatalities slightly increased this year, but not statistically significant. We're pretty much back at our 2023 level. Next slide. Suicides, as is true in most places in this country, firearms are the most common cause of suicide in this category. Asphyxia is almost always a hanging. The other categories are less common. We did have one undetermined, which I know is awkward. We do know it's a suicide. It's kind of semantics why it's undetermined, because in the categories, it involved both a vehicle and a ligature, so we didn't have a good box to put it in. That's why it was called undetermined. Homicides, mostly firearms, a small conglomeration of blunt force trauma, MVAs, and environmental. Undetermined cases are those in which, despite our best efforts, we are unsure of a cause and manner of death. Most of those are, there's really not that many of them. Most of those are ones where we're kind of between two things and we're unsure despite our best efforts, and we just call them undetermined. Next slide. Those are all peer reviewed. I should say we do have a pretty robust peer review program. All homicides, infants, undetermineds are peer reviewed, both at an investigative level and at a medical examiner level. We are lucky to have very few pediatric cases in this county, which is good. Most of them involve motor vehicle collisions. Our infants are quite sad, of course. Luckily, we have very few. If you look at the top 1, 2, 3, 4 categories, take out the natural and the homicide, those are pretty much 100% related to co-sleeping, sleeping with infants, rolling over them in bed, using unsafe sleeping conditions when you're sleeping with your infant. The others are obviously different, but that's pretty much what we see here. Next slide. Fetal deaths, we rarely take jurisdiction on those. There has to be some sort of malicious injury to the mother. And then in custody deaths, most of those are natural disease. We had 2 suicides and 3 overdoses. Luckily, the county had the foresight to build a very lovely tissue recovery suite in our building, and our numbers are up for that. So we had 45 tissue donors and 76 eye donors from Organization 1, and then our organ transplants for Organization 2 would have been done in a hospital setting. So we're still collaborating with our OPOs, organ procurement organizations. Next slide. And this is what you probably want to see. Pretty much the same bar graph or pie graph as last year. We didn't have anyone over 18 this year. So our youngest person that overdosed in Volusia County accidentally was 19. It went all the way to 77. So when you look at that little small piece of the pie in the top, that goes all the way up to age 25. So that's how many younger than 25-year-olds are overdosing. So overdose is a problem of, and I'm be very clear, and I'm calling out myself, baby boomers and Generation X. That's who's doing it. People younger than us aren't doing drugs like our generations are. They're just not. So that's what we're seeing. Our average age went up again. We were 46 last year. Now we're 48. Our average overdose is 48 years of age. The vast majority are male. Next slide. There's the male slide again. You can move on. Thank you. These are the drugs represented. Fentanyl is the big player, often mixed with cocaine and methamphetamine. That is pretty much the common thing we see. Fentanyl plus methamphetamine, and probably a third of those cases have cocaine. The other players here are at much lower concentrations. Next slide. This is our drug overdoses over time. You can see that graph has gone down quite nicely from our peak in 2021 of 400, as I mentioned previously. And last slide. And there we go, compared to motor vehicle collisions. You can see we're down to baseline, which is great news. And I believe that is all the report I have for you.
Well, you did create some questions, although you tried to answer them all along the way.
But
I'm curious about the falls, especially with older people. That you said they break a hip, but it led to death. What leads to death, and what can an older person do to protect himself from that?
So if you look at the medical literature, the morbidity and mortality of a hip fracture in an old person is significant. It's incredibly painful. It decreases respiratory drive. They're not moving. They could have a clot, a pulmonary embolism, DVT, pulmonary embolism. It is highly associated with death in the elderly. They get pneumonia from it. If you stop moving as a human being, your health degrades. We fix, and you look at orthopedic surgeons, they fix a lot of hips in people that are actively dying of other things that are quite old, because it's so painful to have a broken hip. Your quality of life is horrific. So that's the answer to that question. What they can do, ideally, you live in a one-story home, if it's possible. Ideally, you don't have rugs, and I'm fighting with my own mother about this right now. You do not need to have loose floor coverings at any level. The other big thing we see a lot is rolling chairs, office chairs with wheels, scoot out under them, happens all the time. So office chairs, rugs, single-story home, those are the big factors. There are other smaller ones. Great question.
Thank you. You touched on suicides during COVID. They went way up.
They did.
Is it down now?
It is. Yes, it's down. Yes, sorry, it's down. I can probably go back. I don't think we have a bar graph for it or a chart, but it is down some. Let's see if I can find it. Accidental, fetal. I don't think we broke it out, but it is down. Yes,
Okay.
It is down.
Thank you. Thank you. Motor vehicle deaths in children, is that related to car seats?
Some of it, to be honest, I mean, most people are using a car seat. Some aren't, but the vast majority are. Our motor vehicle collisions in this county, which we have quite a few of them, are largely based on aggressive driving, some drunk driving, but a lot of aggressive driving for sure. A lot. I think that's the biggest factor.
So it's the parents.
Absolutely. No, I mean, get on Interstate 495 and go the speed limit and see how many people pass you. It's crazy. I mean, it is what it is. I don't know that Florida has the motivation to be more draconian on their speed limits. I'm from Virginia, and if you go 2 miles and over the speed limit, you're getting a speed ticket. The state police will pull you over for 3 miles and over. I guarantee you. It's just it's a cultural thing. I don't know.
The last every time you're here, you talk about fentanyl deaths, and it's usually because it's mixed with other drugs. What I didn't hear this time, in your list of what it's mixed with, was marijuana. Are you still seeing that?
Yeah, it's very sporadic. It does happen. We do see fentanyl in marijuana, but it's infrequent. To be very clear, if you buy drugs on the street in Volusia County, and sometimes if it's marijuana, it doesn't matter what your drug dealer's telling you you're taking, you're almost certainly getting fentanyl, cocaine, and methamphetamine. That's what we see. I have not seen, well, look, does heroin even appear on this slide? I have families call all the time. Well, they didn't do fentanyl, they did heroin. No one's done heroin in this county for years. It doesn't exist in this county. I would know about it because I do a lot of autopsies and we do talks on everybody and we test for it every single time. You cannot buy heroin in this county. It's 100% fentanyl.
Wow.
And why is that? It's easier to smuggle across our southern border. That's the bottom line. It's a more potent drug, and you can package a small amount in a shipment of whatever, and you're done. So, yeah, fentanyl is a very big problem.
Yeah.
It continues to be a problem, but that's nationwide. This is not unique to our county. Good question.
Thank you. Councilman Johansson.
I noticed that the under 18 drownings were 2. Are those the only ones you see, or is that countywide?
So I do the entire county. So the caveat is if a drowning of a child gets moved to another county and they technically die in that county, like it's a near drowning and they die in the hospital later, that county takes jurisdiction. Medical examiner jurisdiction in this state is where the person dies, not where the event occurs. So outside of that, yes, that's all we had.
Just surprised me. I hear about, infant deaths and infant drownings all the time, like they're happening 5 a day.
Not at all. No, it's not common at all.
Not to say I want to stop any program that prevents them.
The most dangerous place for an infant in Volusia County is co-sleeping with its parents.
Yeah.
That's across the board. The most dangerous place for an infant in Volusia County is if they're co-sleeping with their parents, bed sharing.
Yeah.
That's, yeah, they roll over. I mean, I've had people argue, well, I know where my body is when I'm asleep. Well, that's crazy. You're asleep. You have no idea where your body is. And we see it all the time. Infants are obligate nose breathers.
Yeah.
If it's not malicious, but you just roll over and put something on their face, they're going to die. It happens. And I mean, it's very common, unfortunately,
And-
for infants.
And the chairman asked the other question about what the main thing is for the elderly. So thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome.
I'll be probably during council comments talking about moving a pergo floor, and I'd like all the wheels off our chairs removed by the next meeting. I want zero defect, zero risk.
Yeah.
So just kidding. Thank you very much, Doc.
Vice Chair Reinhardt.
Thank you, Chair. Dr. Fulcher, thank you very much. Thorough report. As always, we're fortunate to have you. We really are, truly are. One of the things, a question, environmental homicide?
Yeah, that
What
was
is-
the child that was in the hot car.
The hot car. Okay, so environmental, that's what you're referring to. Okay. And then to say fentanyl is still on the rise.
Yeah.
And the mixture, do you see it mixture with opioids? And you know why I'm asking that question? My brother had passed away from an overdose due to
So
mixture.
the answer to your question is generally no. And I think you're getting at the fake tablets and pills, maybe.
Yeah, that's what they
So,
think. Yeah.
I mean, as best as we can tell, when you get those pills, they're pretty much pure fentanyl. It is cheaper and easier for them to make the fentanyl because that's what their process is designed to do. And they're just taking the powdered drug and pressing into a pill.
So that's why you see maybe a lace of the opioid, not
You might,
yeah.
yeah, or maybe they took another pill, but when you test the actual pill, it's generally just fentanyl.
general. Okay.
Like
good
if you're in the business of selling drugs, why would you put something less powerful in? Like just use pure fentanyl and cut it.
Gotcha.
Like, take 2% fentanyl and 90% baking powder or whatever, push it and make your pill. Don't take oxycodone, which is much more expensive, and put it in.
That's what his was
Business
mixed with.
decision.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. And the overdoses being down, given thanks to VRA, I appreciate that. I'm
Oh,
very
no,
proud of that
Recovery
group.
Alliance, 100%.
Do
They're
a
doing great
phenomenal
things.
job. So,
Yeah.
and I think a lot of it can be attributed to them. So thank you for pointing that out.
Yeah, the community support is a big change. And I mean, I'm not going to lie to you, enforcement matters too. The sheriff's efforts, everyone.
Yes, he has.
Great job.
Yes, he has.
They have.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Kent.
Thanks, Chairman. Doctor, we get to see you once a year, and that's a good thing, I think.
Come back again if you want.
Well, I think it's a good thing that we see you once a year and you come and give us this report. I have a question and then a quick comment. So my question is, looking at the drugs, and of course, you've already touched on this a little bit, but this stuck with me last year when you talked about it, the year before that when you talked about it. So fentanyl's number one, and then methamphetamine, cocaine, it goes all the way down. But in the past, you had told us that you're buying drugs on the street. If you're doing that, there's fentanyl involved in it for the most part, like almost 100%.
Yes,
Is that still true?
Yeah, that's correct. It's almost certainly true. At least the people that are dying.
Right. And my comment to you was, I just want to remind everybody in the audience and on the dais here that before this council was seated, the medical examiner's office was sometimes in the newspaper and on the news, and it wasn't a good thing.
It was not.
And I just want to say it has been smooth sailing with you, and I'm appreciative of that smooth sailing. So keep the ship going at its current rate, and as Mr. Reinhardt said, we appreciate the hard work that you're doing.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Councilman Santiago.
Thank you. Can you elaborate a little bit on the pedestrian deaths?
Sure. Pedestrian deaths. Do we have the slide on that? Pedestrian deaths generally occur in certain areas of the county. I won't lie to you, our unhoused population is a significant portion of those. People that are jaywalking on beachside. If you are sober and using a crosswalk, you are likely not to be a pedestrian death. But we see a fair number of people late out at night, drinking, other drug use, jaywalking. Those are the people that die. Same thing with bicycles. I know cycling and e-bikes has become a hot topic recently, but in our bicycle fatalities, most of those that when the bicycle's at fault, the person is either running through a stop sign, breaking some traffic law, intoxicated, or just using it for primary transportation in an unhoused situation. The people that are wearing spandex and like the sheriff are not getting killed on bikes at a high rate at any level. These are people that are using the bikes for transportation, probably not in a safe way. I should point out half the time the vehicle's at fault though. And this is on my analysis, and I should just say it because I ride a bike for exercise. When people riding bicycles die in this county, it's because of two reasons. Someone's passing them too close and gets impatient and basically runs them off the road or hits them. And the other one, which is an engineered problem, is when you have a bike lane and then a right turning lane and the bike lane splits the two travel lanes. And that's, I don't know what the solution to that is, but it's tough and people aren't thinking about it, and the bike's there and there's a speed differential and we see those too. So that is, I don't know how you fix that one though.
The reason I asked about the pedestrians, I wanted to know the trends because I think a few years ago there was a report where I think Volusia ranked really high compared to the rest of Florida on that. Is that trend going down?
I believe so. I would have to pull that exact data on pedestrians. I have transportation broken out, and I believe our transportation includes pedestrians. So to my knowledge, it is at a normal level for this county at this point in time. But
Normal
I
meaning it's stable from previous years.
Yes, absolutely.
And now you mentioned e-bikes. Interesting. It's been a very big topic. Have we had any e-bike deaths?
Only a handful, actually. When you look at, I was prepared for this question. It's only been 1 or 2 a year. It's not nearly as many as you'd think. It's surprising.
Age?
Age, most of them older people unhoused.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't think we may have had one child die, but it's a small number.
Okay. And my last question is regarding the overdoses. Again, I like to see trends, right? I know you show us how we did here. I also like to see how, and you may not have this data, so I apologize. How do we compare to our neighboring counties, to the rest of the state? Because I like to see how well are we doing here in Volusia.
So we have an annual report of the Florida Association of Medical Examiners. We have a drugs and deceased report, and I think we are probably average for the state. I would have to pull those numbers exactly to see, but in a general sense, I think we've made vast improvements internally, and I think our current baseline is near our peer group average. And when people ask me where do we go from here with the overdoses, the answer is down. You know, we have room to improve. 178 sounds great when a couple of years ago it was 400, but it's still 178 people that should be alive. So, yeah, I think the answer is we are at baseline, near peer groups, but have room to improve.
Thank you.
Great question.
County Manager George Rectenwald.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to make a quick comment. First, building off of what Councilman Kent said, I just want to thank you being part of the group that got you here. You've done everything we asked at the time, and you said you'd do, and then some. And I want to brag on the fact of, he gives this report here, but Dr. Fulcher is very available to the community and has spoken in many places. I get compliments all the time. Again, he's a teacher. He goes out. He's doing a lot of training and teaching of other folks. I think, honestly, I don't want this to get out too far, but I think he's the best in the state, and we're very, very fortunate to have him, because not only how great of a scientist and everything he is, but how great of a person he is in our community. And what he's willing to do, he cares. And I think that's one of the big things that, in a position like that, he takes care of this county very well. I'm very proud to have you and work with you.
Thank you. I should have made one other comment. We're still doing all our educational stuff as well. And I am currently now not the Secretary of FAME, the Florida Association of Medical Examiners, but the president-elect. So I'll be serving as the president next year of the Florida Association. So we'll be guiding some policy there.
Good. Just to recap what George just said, I think this has come out every year you've been here. It always blows my mind. How many of you are there in the country, qualified, degreed, professional medical examiners?
It's approximately 500 to 600, and as the National
for 50 states.
Yeah, the National Institute of Justice thinks we need about 1,000 people. So we're still missing about half our workload. The fellowships, which is the training program right before you get out on your own, they only filled halfway last year. So there's still not as much interest in what I do as you'd think, which is sad. That's one of the reasons my efforts with the local FSU med school chapter is so important. And then we also actually, we had to buy it, but we have an insurance policy now where we can take students that aren't in that program that are coming to us from all sorts of states. We just took someone from South Carolina.
You know that UF has a med school too, right?
Oh yeah, I teach there. I teach there. I teach at UF. And I will point out that my UF colors that are normally in the annual report were not ADA compliant. So we changed to red and blue instead of orange and blue, apparently.
Oh.
Who knew?
Well, 500 of you. We have 67 counties in Florida. And so every state has a bunch of counties. So that's we are very fortunate to have you and this facility that you go together well. So thank you for your service.
I appreciate it.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Can I get a motion to approve his report?
Second.
Motion to approve by Vice Chair Reinhardt. Second was by Councilman Johansson. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? You are approved 6-0. Thank you again.
Thank you. I appreciate your time.
And Troy Ken, I need to ask you on item 3, the proclamation from.
I was a yes. Thank you, Chair.
So that was 6-0 there, Carissa. Okay. Item 5 is first. This is a chicken ordinance, isn't it? First reading of ordinance 2026-05, amending chapter 72 of the Code of Ordinances to amend zoning classifications and on backyard chicken regulations.
That is correct. Good morning, Carol McFarlane, Planning and Development Services Director. We have talked about, right one here. Nope, that's not it. Help me out, Carissa. All right, there we go. There's 2 of them here, so it threw me off a little bit. All right, good morning. So we've talked about this ordinance before. This was directed by council to staff last year. This proposed ordinance that you have in front of you, one of the things that it does is allow backyard chickens by right instead of a special conditional use permit. Eliminates the need for building permits, eliminates lot size requirement, eliminates the need for an IFAS course. What we're really trying to do is enable this, citizens to have this without having to go through any kind of special permission or courses through UF. It also increases the number of chickens allowed. Prior ordinance only allowed 5 chickens regardless of lot size. So we've instituted a sliding scale. The benefits are saving money for county residents, efficient staff use of staff time, expands eligibility into the backyard chickens program, and we're keeping all of the existing provisions that helped with the public health and safety. Mostly the roosters is the biggest problem by far. Vast majority of our code complaints about chickens is because of the roosters. Those were never allowed and they're still not allowed. So this is a summary of our public hearings that we've had throughout the process. Went to PLDRC twice. The first time they had some suggestions and some input from the public to help make a better ordinance. And it was recently forwarded to County Council with a recommendation of approval on May 21st. Thank you.
Thank you. Vice Chair Matt Reinhardt.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you very much for bringing this. This is something I brought up a year ago. So thank you for bringing this back. And we still have, real quick question, we still have the UF instructors, there you go, University of Florida, out there at the fairgrounds that assist with training in that aspect as well, which is good to know. And we'll have that information out there for them. But that being said, motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion to approve by Vice Chair Reinhardt. Second was by Councilman Robbins. Just one question for you. Roosters are the big problem?
Yes.
Do you know how to get a rooster to not crow?
Let's hear it.
Pressure cooker. Sorry. All right. We have a motion and a second to approve the new chicken ordinance. Sorry, Suzanne Conchi.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a reminder to council, this is first reading. So this will come back to it. Is it scheduled for the next meeting, Carol, for second reading?
It is not. We're looking at September.
And that'll be your final adoption, just
Okay.
with the community.
Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And first reading is approved 6-0. Thank you very much.
Chair, can you clarify who made the second on that?
Councilman Robbins. Item 6, resolution of proposed vacation for a portion of plat number 2 of West Highland.
Motion to approve.
Spear.
Second. Oh, Matt beat me. No, Matt got it.
Okay, motion to approve came from Councilman Robbins, and the second was by Councilman Santiago. Any questions for Tad, who has not yet opened his mouth? Any comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Vacation is approved 6-0. Item 7, ordinance 2026-11, small scale comp plan amendment of 1 acre from the Osteen Village, Commercial Villages, OCV.
All right. Good morning again. Carol McFarlane, Planning and Development Services Director. This is item 7 and 8 are companion cases. Item 7 is the future land use amendment, and item 8 is the rezoning. If we approve one, we have to approve the other. Item 8 is a quasi judicial hearing, so council would need to disclose ex parte communication. This is going from, in the Osteen area, going from Osteen Commercial Village future land use to Osteen Transitional Residential future land use. And the rezoning is from Osteen Commercial Village to Osteen Transitional Residential -1 zoning classification. This is 1 acre parcel, 200 Longwood Drive. There is an existing single family residence that was constructed in 1997. So the purpose of these two applications is to make the property conforming with zoning and comprehensive plan regulations. So the Osteen local plan, which was approved in 2008, really identified this particular area starting at Longwood Drive and going north as a mixed-use commercial village. As you can see from the aerial map, there's still quite a lot of vacant land. Everything south of Longwood Drive is transitional residential, and the majority of the properties are developed with single-family residences, as is this property. So you can see the property outlined in black here. Again, it's got the Osteen Commercial Village to the north of Longwood. So this is really kind of, this one property is going to take on the regulations of all the properties that are to the south of it. And you see the same thing with the proposed zoning map. So again, the Osteen Commercial Village is for mixed use development. It's got a minimum density of 8. And that's really what trips up some of the approvals, or the ability to have single family residences here, even though they were in existence. They were basically created to be non-conforming uses. This is something that was negotiated between Volusia County and the city of Deltona. So approval of the transitional residential will allow, gets rid of that minimum density and allows for single family residences. There was public hearing on June 8th with the Planning Commission. There was no public participation, and the PLDRC voted unanimously for approval. And I will say that the both applications were sent to the City of Deltona staff, and they had no objections.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Robbins.
Thank you, Chair. I didn't have any ex parte.
Let me deal with that real quick, since 7 is, if we pass 7, we have to pass 8. 8 is a quasi judicial hearing. Has any council member had any ex parte they need to declare? None. To our students in the blue shirts out there, do you know what ex parte is? So you've learned it. No? It's communication with anybody involved in this, so that for full disclosure points. I think there's a lot of people in the public that don't know. Go ahead, Councilman Robbins.
Thank you, Chairman. I just want to be clear. We didn't have any um, negatives from the community, correct?
Correct. There was
This is
no
a-
public participation. Due public notice requirements were met. We did not receive any emails and no one came to the public hearing.
Correct, neither did I. And this is a down zoning, correct?
It is, yes.
Okay. Motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve item 7 by Councilman Robbins. Second was by Vice Chair Reinhardt. Any other questions? Any comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And any against? Motion is approved 6-0. So item 8, can I get a motion to approve? Motion to approve by Councilman Robbins, second by Vice Chair Reinhardt. Questions? Comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone disapprove? Item 8 is passed 6-0. Thank you very much. And you're staying right there.
Staying right
For item 9, resolution 2026 XX rezoning of 5,249 square feet from light industrial to urban single family residential.
All right. So item 9, say from light industrial to the R5 zoning classification at 1631 Granada Avenue. It's address of Daytona Beach, but it's right next to Holly Hill. There is a single family residence, very similar to the last case that we just looked at, that the single family home does not match the zoning requirements that it's within. So here's a location and an aerial map. This is along Nova Road, or backs up to Nova Road, which is of course a commercial area that also has some light manufacturing and industrial uses. This property, it's really kind of a remnant of what should have been a strip development of light industrial. There's a couple of other single family homes within that area as well. So the light industrial requires a minimum lot size acre of 1. So that means that the property is not only is the use non-conforming, but the size of the property is non-conforming. Single family residences are not permitted under the R5 zoning. The lot size as well as the use would be allowable. Again, we had no public participation. Due public notice was met. There was no emails in opposition. And again, this is quasi judicial, so we can just disclose ex parte.
Does any council member have any communications they'd like to declare? None. Is the owner of the property here?
They are, yes.
Thank you for being here. We're glad that you want to stay and get in compliance. We have a motion to approve by Vice Chair Reinhardt. Is there a second? We have a second. Scared you for a second, didn't it? Very good. And the second was by Councilman Johansson. Any questions for Carol, for the attorneys, for the owner? Any comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And you are approved 6-0. Congratulations. Good work.
Thank you.
Item 10 is the fee schedule annual CPI adjustment policy. Ryan Osowski, Chief Financial Officer.
Good morning, Council. Just as a matter of background, there are a lot of fees that we already have CPI adjustments for. This policy is to really catch the remaining fees that we don't have some sort of CPI adjustment for. But we did not propose the resolution to be like any future fee. It is a list of the fees that we've identified, so you can see exactly what we're talking about when we talk about the catch-all. But that was the main intent. This is meant to keep whole dollar increments so that when you have something like admission to the Marine Science Center, When CPI catches up to increase the admission $1, at that point we would apply it. That way you don't have a bunch of change issues that you have to work through for cash. What you see on your screen is the fees that are already outside of this policy. You've had this in material ahead of time, so I won't read them, but a lot of the fees, especially the high dollar ones, we're already adjusting automatically. The applicable fee highlights, we're talking about what this resolution would cover is applying a CPI adjustment to the fees that you see on this slide and the next slide. I won't cover each one unless you have any particular questions, but this is really a summary of that nearly or somewhere around 100-page schedule, because there's a lot of details in that schedule, like the on fire rescue with this fire prevention permit. It's probably 7 pages of that schedule of the different types of fire prevention permits. They're all the same amount, but they all have like these sub classifications. With that, I'll take any questions.
Questions, council? Councilman Robbins.
Which Parks and Rec fees are we looking at?
Camping, Strickland Range passes, summer camp, pavilions, and ball fields. Whatever fees that are currently in place, this is not to do some sort of adjustment to market value or anything. This is just to start applying CPI to our existing fees.
How about the junior lifeguard fee?
That is under beach safety, and that is a fee that would be covered by this currently. Unless you want to remove that, we can remove certain fees if you'd like to do that.
I'll stay up there for some comments, Chairman.
Okay. Councilman Santiago.
I was kind of going along the same lines as Danny. And I know you did what we directed you all to do on making sure the fees tie into CPI. So we don't have those big fees like Troy frequently reminds us of. At the same time, I don't know if I individually would want to apply them to everything. And I don't have an answer for you other than that. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions of it? Comments?
Chairman. Yeah. Yeah, I was kind of council feeling the same way. I know that incrementally there's some things that we want to bring up, but I'm seeing some of this thing, some of these I feel is kind of nickel and diming everybody. I get the position of some where some of these we need to raise occasionally, but a part of me, I know we have some challenges here in the future, and the perception doesn't look good with this, to be quite honest. You know, we're supposed to be kind of cutting some of this stuff, and like I said, some of this is nickel and diming, in my opinion, and I don't know if I can support it as presented.
Councilman Kent.
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, no one likes to be nickeled and dimed, but you know what they dislike more than that? Being quartered, half-dollared, and dollared. And that's what's going to happen. So we either do these small incremental increases that we've talked about as a group, or we don't. I'm not going to say play politics. I'm not going to go down that road, but I wasn't going to talk on this because just voting yes for it means I'm in agreement with it, which I am in agreement with it. These aren't outrageous. They're not inappropriate. They're extremely appropriate. They are extremely appropriate. And if you don't charge people for the things they're utilizing, all the other taxpayers that don't do it, they're the ones paying for it. So at what point do you say, hey, small incremental nickel and dime is okay, because I don't want to hit anybody over the head with a club and make them have to pay huge amounts because we didn't do it for 5, 10, 20 years. Thanks, Chairman.
Thank you. Vice Chair Reinhardt.
Thank you, Chair. Troy, one thing you said, I have to agree. You know, well, no, I mean, basically the whole thing you just said, but, you know, you said it a long time ago about large impact fees and large things that come up. And you hear now on the news in light of things that are happening in possibly in November, where certain municipalities are talking about implementation of fees, and that's going to hurt them. And I'm not for that. But however, these are existing fees that have to go with the times. So I am in agreement with this.
County Manager George Rectenwald.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask Ryan off the top of your head, what's CPI percentage this year?
We have it defined in the resolution as to what point in time we'll do CPI adjustments. CPI is actually a number that gets measured every month by the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and depending on which month you pick and doing that percentage change, it's roughly around 3% right now.
Right. So I know we mentioned about what's coming in the future possibly and all that, but this is something I know we've talked about for some time, and I would be recommending this and have recommended this regardless of what's going on. All we're trying to do here is just keep up with inflation. And as Councilman Kent said, instead of the big jumps, I think people that I've talked to anyway prefer the the smaller jumps over time. So that's really what we're trying.
I would add that we've been working on this for a little while. This is not something that is a response to property tax reform. But that being said, if property tax reform does pass, CPI might not be enough. You know, you're looking at either service level reductions or much different type fee increases. That's not what we're talking about here today. What we're talking about is just scaling to keep up with inflation.
Right. Well, this council has given you directions repeatedly to have incremental increases in fees. What's happening here, these are tiny increases. We're not creating any new fees. These are existing user fees, some paid by cities, some paid by individuals. It's not to replace property tax. This is something that has to be done, as you said, to keep up with inflation, keep up with rising costs. So I'm in favor of it. Nobody likes fee increases, but I like to keep them really small. And again, the important thing to me is that we're not creating any new fees. These are existing fees that we're going to bump up just a little bit. So any other comments, questions? Is there a motion to approve or motion to approve by Vice Chair Reinhardt? Second, second by Councilman Troy Kent. If there's no other comments or questions, call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Okay, I believe the opposed was Santiago and Danny Robbins. So the motion passes 4-2. All right, item 11, budget resolution contract with Hendricks Brothers Construction Company for Fire Station 22 in Oak Hill. Motion to approve. Is it just you? Don't say a word. Okay, the motion, I believe, was by Councilman Robbins, and the second was by, who made the second? Second by Vice Chair Reinhardt. This is for improvements to Fire Station 22 in Oak Hill, which is needed. Fire stations are expensive. Don't say a word. And, any comments, questions? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? And resolution passes 6-0. Item 12, appointment to the Florida Association of Counties FAC Board of Directors for District 8. And I'll ask the council who is interested. David Santiago, you were my appointment last year. I got a letter from FAC that said you weren't reelected. I didn't know they reelected it. but it was strictly an appointment from here. So
Yeah, no.
what do you
so
know about that?
I don't know anything about that. But yes, I'd be considering to continue to serve. So
Okay.
my schedule has changed drastically, my daily schedule. So
You'll continue, you said?
Yep.
Great. I'll make the motion for David Santiago.
Okay, we have a motion to approve David Santiago to be our representative to the FAC Board of Directors. Motion by Troy Kent, second by Vice Chair Reinhardt. Any questions? Comments? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? And you are reappointed 6-0. Item 13 is an appointment of a consumer representative to the Contractor Licensing and Construction Appeals. We need 3 nominations, one from chair, one from the at-large, and one from District 3 member, but there's only one applicant, and he's an excellent applicant, Craig Bruce. So would any of the 3 of you, Jake?
Motion to approve Craig Bruce.
Okay. Have a motion to approve Craig Bruce by Jake Johansson, and the second was by Councilman Santiago. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And he is approved 6-0. Wow, 11:22. Item 14, resolution, one appointment to the Volusia County Industrial Development Authority. And Carissa, any member can make this nomination?
Correct. And you do have 2 applicants, Miss Karen Rath, who's the incumbent, and Reginald Reyes.
Okay. Get to it. We have 2 applicants. Is there, Councilman Robbins?
Chairman, I see employment information. I see commercial banking. What's the second? I'm just trying to see the background of Ronald Reyes. Where is that?
Reginald Reyes?
Reginald. Carissa, do we have?
Mr. Raines, his occupation is retail, and it says he works at Walgreens.
Chairman, I don't remember this coming up for a long time, if ever, during our tenure here. Is it typical, council, I'll speak freely for a second, that kind of fits kind of what the board is? Are we looking for somebody that is involved in industrial or commercial operations, or are we going to just put anybody on this board? With no offense to the applicants, we kind of want people that are qualified or have a background or an understanding in the board. I don't know. That's just a thought.
Yeah.
Maybe we should hold off, or I don't know.
I understand it was advertised. We got 2 applicants. Karen Rath is a banker, as you said, probably has pretty close experience for Industrial Development Authority. This is a 4-year term, so it doesn't come to us often.
The last time it came, it looks like it was in 2024 or 2025.
Interesting.
Okay.
When chairman or staff, do we know when this board is really used, or where do they?
Yes, they issue your industrial bonds so they'll come before you for bond issuance and stuff.
Okay, I'll go with the banker.
Okay, so
Make that motion.
Making a motion for Karen Rath, made by Councilman Robbins. And she is seconded by Vice Chair Reinhardt. Karen Rath. Any questions, discussion? All in favor of reappointing Karen Rath, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? She is nominated and appointed unanimously 6-0. Item 15 is another appointment to the Code Enforcement Board. It's Chair at Large and District 2 Matt Reinhardt appointments. Unfortunately, we only have how many nominees?
4, 5.
So we have enough for all three of us.
I'll make the nomination for. I'll go with Reginald Rains since he was on the last one. I'll give him this appointment. Retail.
Okay, Matt nominates Reginald Rains. Is there a second for Reginald Rains? Let's see if we can get all these together. Second was by Danny Robbins. And trying to get back to the full list. Okay. I would nominate Tad Olmsted, general contractor. Nominated by Brower, seconded by Reinhardt. And we need one more. At
Yes, sir.
large.
It's me. I'd like to preface my my appointment with first of all, I'd like to appoint Don Needham, and there's a little bit of discussion I've had with him. He did miss 3 meetings last year. He had a lot of conflicts, and I'd like to appoint him with the understanding that any failure on his part to be part of the Code Enforcement Board and that be a priority, I will make a decision to pull him and pick somebody else if it doesn't work. But his 3 missing meetings were due to a competition he had with another board that's been deconflicted. So I'd like to get him back on the board.
And you feel secure? He's given you assurances that this is one of the busiest boards in the county.
I want you to know that I will be watching it, and if it doesn't work out, I will pull him and pull somebody else in at that point.
He wasn't on our list of applicants, but he's the current.
He's in the supplemental.
And you have clean hands, everything that you needed for him. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So Jake Johansson nominates Don. I just need him. Is there a second for Don? Second was by Vice Chair Reinhardt. Okay, so we have 3. Come on. 3 appointments or nominations. Reginald Rains, Tad Olmsted, and Don Needham. Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And their nominations are confirmed 6-0. And believe it or not, that is the entire agenda. At 11:29, let it be written. We do have some public participation. And first is John Nicholson. Please tell us what area of the county that you're from. Beachside, Daytona.
Absolutely. Couple of things. One, Jake, I haven't heard age used like that since Ronald Reagan. But I don't think that we need to pull the rollers out from underneath the chairs. Secondly, David, I read the article in the paper with regards to the Jones Act. I'm glad that someone from the county, as you know, I grew up in Miami, but I was born in New York. New York, I think, has the largest Puerto Rican entity in the United States, and Miami is second. My neighbor in Miami was Puerto Rican and constantly had to buy things in Miami and bring them to Puerto Rico because it was cheaper. This act absolutely needs to be gone. It's outdated and it costs money. And there should not be anything that we do to cause harm to American citizens. And this act does that. So hopefully, David, you'll continue. Third, data centers. We talked about it. I'm not a big fan of moratoriums. I'm absolutely a huge fan of knowledge. I know basically nothing about a data center. I can turn my phone on, I can turn my phone off, and that's about it. I don't know what a computer does, and I don't care. I don't know the internet, and I don't care. But it's all absolutely necessary. Data centers are necessary. The question is, do we have the knowledge to know whether they fit into the county? All right. Someone, I won't mention any name, Mr. Kent, came up with the concept that when I read this, the fuel tanks that I thought was these little tiny things, all right, and they turned out to be huge and absolutely inappropriate for the location. I don't know anything about these. These can be absolutely huge and inappropriate for our county, but I don't know that. From what I've been able to ascertain, the amount of water that is needed, we don't have to worry about because we're throwing it in the Halifax every day. So they need like 3 million gallons a day, and we're throwing in the Halifax 8 million a day. So we've got more than enough. Size-wise, they go from a container to huge, you know. So they would fit almost anywhere, depending on the size. The last thing that I don't know is the sound, the humming. I know overhead lines, many people complain about overhead, huge, massive lines for electric, solar power and light. They hum, they cause illnesses, blah, 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 blah. I don't know that. We need to find that out, but I don't know if we need a moratorium. We can do that because there's nobody knocking down our doors to put a data center on the beach side that I know of. So all these things are important, but I absolutely encourage you to tell us what we need to know about that property tax.
It's coming. Mike Poniatowski.
Morning, Council. How you doing? Mike Poniatowski, Tomoka Farms Village. So a home valued at $200,000 5 years ago is now assessed roughly at $224,000. Trash collection fees went up in the county from $297 a year to $303, plus $6. Volusia County taxes will increase about maybe $56 on average for the property values, increases of $10,000 in value. $56 is what I pay for my supplemental health insurance and Medicare. School board increase of 3.5%, $85 a year. That's what I pay a month in my hearing, dental, and eye plan supplement. Plus any increases the cities pass on to their citizens. It all adds up. Estimated losses in the permitting department, about $400,000 from inadequate oversight. Who is watching the spending and who's watching the spenders? You know, 4,600 of those missed inspections involved life safety. 29 involved seawalls damaged or destroyed by Hurricane Nicole. They never got their final inspections. The audit that y'all did by your auditor identified control weaknesses across all stages of building, inspection, and operations, including insufficient safeguards to prevent and detect conflicts of interest, thousands of expired permits without final inspection, significant revenue loss due to inconsistent fee practices, and gaps in permit documentation and system oversight. That's the statement from your own internal auditor, Jonathan Edwards. EMS had pay discrepancies earlier this year, actually from May 2023 to January of 2026, 213 employees were underpaid, while 55 were overpaid, 4 by over $10,000, 1 by over $60,000. The school board incorrectly paid 307 transportation workers, among others, with overpayments between $200 and $500. In a year when our elected officials should be riding tight reins on budgets and spending, We see that there is a lot of out of control spending, things that you may not be aware of, but things that are happening. We have concrete proof, and it's the money that we're paying in our tax dollars. Incrementally, they all add up. They all add up. They come out of our paychecks. They come out of our fixed incomes. We're paying to the government. We don't have a choice of what we pay to the government. We just have a choice of what we spend on our own selves. But when in the time of property tax reform that may be happening in November, regardless of whether it happens or not, you, the staff, the elected officials should be looking for ways to cut and save us money. Rollback is not enough, flat is not enough. The people need a break. They want cuts in the spending, because when you add it up, it's money out of our checkbooks on a yearly basis, and we have less to spend on home, life, and our own prosperity, and more to spend on the government. So please do your due diligence, work with the people to reduce their taxes and reduce spending. But in any event, watch the spending, find out where it's going, why we're having these inconsistencies and these problems, because we need help. Thank you.
Thank you. Wendy Anderson.
Good morning, Wendy Anderson, District 1. And yeah, good job on keeping the meeting to under 3 hours this morning. I wanted to follow up on Dr. Dick McCormick's remarks earlier at the beginning of the meeting when he gave you a lot of information about AI data centers. And Mr. Nicholson may not have done as much research as Dr. McCormick has, but the information is out there. There is a reason that AI data centers are in the national news as something that cities and counties are currently looking at banning. The state government has, for a brief moment, given cities and counties the freedom and the opportunity to make their own decisions about this. And I think that you all should seize that opportunity before it goes away. The state government doesn't very often, give us more control. They're usually taking it away. Mr. Santiago, I really appreciate your idea of proposing a 6-month moratorium. Dr. McCormick earlier suggested an 18-month moratorium. I'm just going to come right out and say it. I'm all for a ban, and a ban right now. Do it now, because we do know the environmental impacts of these. We don't need to do our own research. The research has been done. We do know the environmental impact of these. We know the impact on our utility rates. We know the impact on our water supplies, on wildlife, the physical area footprint of these. We do not want these in our county. We do not need them in our county. We do not need these jobs. And so I would urge all of you to just jump straight ahead to banning them. And, let some other counties in the state figure it out. Let other states in the nation figure it out. But we don't need them or want them here. And I just want to be on the record saying that. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. And that concludes the public participation for this meeting. We'll move to closing comments. County Manager George Rectenwald.
The only thing I have is a quick clarification. It didn't come up in the item, but the open permits, I just want to report, that's numbers significantly different now. It's like 800. So it's gone down from in the thousands where it was to that. And that's a statewide problem. That's not unique to Volusia County in any way. And a lot of times, it gets corrected by the fact that people need other permits or other work done, and then that's how it's often caught. But it's not a life safety issue as was portrayed. And that's all I have. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. County Attorney Mike Dyer. No?
No, sir. Thank you.
Okay. We'll move to council members, and Councilman Santiago, you're first today.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And George, thanks for clarifying that. And you all and your positions are tough right now, and it's more intensified since we're in the political season. So everything that looks or smells or even can be construed is going to be as we go through this November spring. Then we get back to normal in December. Everybody acts normal again until the next election cycle. Thank Mr. Nichols. Thank you for your comments on the Jones Act. Yes, I've been an advocate for that for a long time. I wish the county had more power other than just being vocal about it. And as I was in that op-ed. And regarding the data centers, and you know, you're right. There is a lot of information out there, and you know, I'm learning more as I go along. And Mr. Nichols is right from the perspective. He says that we need these technologies all going that way, whether we like it or not. We probably interact with data centers several times a day, right? And so the purpose for the moratorium was to give us time to really figure out what can we do legally. A lot of it is constrained by federal and state laws. We can't do a permanent ban. Wendy, it's illegal. We've talked to our legal department. They have researched it, and we're prohibited from doing a permanent ban. It's not permissible. So you can just take that off the table. If we do it, then we're violating the law. But the moratorium allows us the opportunity to figure out what works here, right? And how do we guide it and send the right signal to anyone that wants to invest in that here? AI data centers are bigger than regular data centers. There's a data center on I-4, that interesting building going towards Altamont. I didn't know it was a data center until the news pointed it out. It's a very pretty building, but I don't know what type it is, but it's a pretty building. I just look at it every single time. That being said, though, we need to do it right. If we don't do the moratorium and someone applies, guess what the next criticism is? You had an opportunity to do a moratorium and you didn't while you fixed it. So if we put this moratorium in place, when staff brings it to us, it gives us the pause and sends the right signals on, if you want to do one in Volusia, this is how you got to do it. So I think we're the right path. And 6 months is usually the statutory norm for doing moratoriums. If you go outside of 6 months, you get into the trouble zone for being in violation of the law and taking people's rights away. So it's a safe space for us as a county to not put the county treasury in liability. We all talk about taxes, come up right here, talk about rate lowering taxes and stuff like that. But actions that we take that violate people's rights cost you money, which raises our taxes. So it can't go both ways. And that's why sometimes the tough decisions have to be made, and they're not popular. But I think the majority of the council always considers the outcomes on how it impacts us in many different ways. So that's where we're at with that. And the only other thing I have to our staff, Mr. Chair, is can somebody give us an update on this Hope Street or Drive paving? I have no idea what's going on with that. And is it a county project? Is it not a county project? Because we're being thrown into this battle for the neighbors.
It is not a county project. I think it's a non-county, non-maintained road where people were, I think citizens had gotten together and we're trying to do something.
It's an HOA thing.
More or less. I mean, they still have to get a permit and work with us because it's, you know, a right of way dedicated to the county, but it's not maintained by the county. So at the end of the day, it's really kind of a neighborhood fight amongst those who want to do it. And some, of course, went out and, as was pointed out, and went ahead and did it, took some, you know, kind of initiative, which hard to fault, but unfortunately, in a public right of way, and it does affect their neighbors. So they have to come back, or they are, I think Tad's coming in. They'll have to work and get a permit for the proper drainage and stuff. Maybe he does have to say something this time.
Yeah, so I'm guessing that they would have to normally, in the normal circumstances, submit engineering plans and things like that for us to review. Has that happened?
For the initial southern portion, that was paved without the county's information or a permit from us. We don't require a permit for constructing of a road except for the aspect of stormwater. That's what's needed. They had paved the portion in front of the 6 lots to the south, as Ms. Bengali showed, and then another group wanted to go ahead and start paving the 4 lots just to the north of that. That's when it came to our attention. She brought it to our attention that that was being done. We notified them that they needed a stormwater permit. We also realized at that point that they had paved the section to the south. And so we said that needs a permit as well, or it needs to be ripped out. They can we allowed them to go ahead and mix the two of them together and get a retroactive permit for the original and provide the stormwater that's necessary for the whole thing.
So the only approval they need from us, correct me if I'm wrong, is the stormwater aspect of this.
Correct.
We don't say you can put a road there or not.
Correct. It's not our right of way, as George had mentioned. This is private right of way. It was initially platted and it said county right of way, and then that was corrected with a later plat. And there's some confusion over that aspect of it, but our legal department has clearly reviewed the documents and issued a straightforward opinion. Makes it very clear that this is not the county's right of way. So therefore, we don't issue a use permit or anything along those lines, but any amount of pavement over 1,000 square feet requires a permit for stormwater purposes.
And we're enforcing the requirement for the stormwater permit. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm done.
Councilman Jake Johansson.
Thank you very much, Chairman. It's interesting. The media has been here a while. I haven't seen that camera turn on. I'm interested to see what's coming.
You're on.
Wait, they're filming now.
Oh, there you go. That's why I wanted it. Perfect. I had a very nice text from Representative Mills today that may give us some great news about our beach feasibility study. I'm going to spend some time with him tomorrow, and I'll see what comes of that good news and talk with Jessica and George a little bit later on. And if things work out well, it looks like we're moving in the right direction for the beach feasibility study. Secondly, regarding the data centers, I think we're making some headway on what we want to do here, but I caution that when people speak, including us up here, the term "we" is very relative, right? The "we" I hang out with is not the "we" that some other people hang out with. So I'm very cautious when I say we don't want or we want. I work with chambers of commerce, and they are pro-business. They are pro-development. They are pro-economic development. I also spend some time with people that are very environmentally minded, and they are not pro-development, and they are not pro-economic development. They want things the way they are. So it depends on where I'm sitting and what venue I'm at, who we is. So our job here on council is to decide what's in the best interest in the county based on everything we've heard from all the we's, and make a decision that benefits the county as a whole based on our wisdom, our knowledge, our history, and the public's input. Not just the vocal minority, not the vocal majority, but everybody. So realize that we hear you, we listen, but what you say is based on what you know, and I'm not saying we know more, but we do our best here to make a decision that benefits what's in the best interest of the council. And we had a conversation during the audit about permitting and where we sit with permitting. Yet during public comment, you heard a lady up here with an autistic child that wanted some latitude in permitting. And it was a very touching story, right? She wanted help with her autistic child. And folks like us are like, God, we'd love to help, but our rules say we can't help you. So what's a building inspector to do? What's a permitting person to do? We do have rules, but one of the things that I hate about government is it's so easy for us to open up the page in a book and say, nope, can't do that. Yep, you can do that. when the right thing to do is to try to get somebody like we've all talked about up here to get to yes. How can we help this person? They definitely have a need. Our hearts go out to them. Our rules say probably not, but let's find a way to get them to yes. And that's kind of what we've been trying to do up here. And I'd like to continue to do that and not tie the hands of the people that work for George and Suzanne and prevent them from doing what's right. I've always said that if follow the rules, and if the rules are wrong, let's change the rules. So you've seen us doing that throughout the last 9 to 12 months, if not a little bit longer. And I'd like to continue doing that for the length of my stay here. That's all I have, sir. Thank you.
Wow. Jake, council, can I get an amen to what Jake just said? Thank you. Troy Kent.
Thank you, Chairman. Just have one item for this afternoon. George, I happen to agree with Keith Chester that 20 years is not legacy.
Yes.
In order for us to change that, because I mean, I would be more comfortable with 30 years at a minimum. Is that something that has to come back before this council? I heard Mike shake his head yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So, council, I'm going to make a motion that we have that piece come back to us about what legacy is. I don't think 20 years is long enough.
Second.
Thank you very much.
Is that the only part? Just the years, the
No,
dollar amount?
no, the dollar amount as well. I'm okay talking about the whole thing.
Good.
Is
All
the
right.
seconder okay with that?
Perfect. We have a motion by Councilman Kent, a second by Vice Chair Reinhardt to bring that back for discussion. Any questions on that? Comments? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And your motion passes 6-0.
Great. And I said I had one item and that was it. So thank you, Chairman.
Okay. Vice Chair Reinhardt.
Thank you, Chair. Troy, I'm going to throw it right back at you real quick. I read somewhere this week, Ormond Beach earned the 2026 Main Street America accreditation this year. It's 1 out of 838 nationally recognized. So kudos to Ormond Beach. And so I had to throw that your way. I wrote that down. And then there was an incident I read about also for our beach safety. 2 of our lifeguards saved a child's life, brought him back, which I thought was phenomenal. And I don't think they get enough recognition, so kudos to them. So well done. I saw the TV interview. They did a phenomenal job in the interview too. Do a lot better than I do. Yeah. So, and then lastly, Ray, can I bug you for a minute? Sure I can. You like that?
I'm going to bug you too. So when he's done, just stay on the front row.
So going with what Mr. Johansson said, how do we get to yes? I am absolutely positive he had the opportunity to talk to that young lady in the back about her situation.
Yes, we did.
Could you fill me in on that, on what we can do to help her?
Well, Paolo's here, or I know Carol spoke. I didn't.
Oh, Carol did. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Okay, Carol
did
did.
speak.
Okay.
I think Katie's still here.
Katie is in the back.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Paul Soria, Senior Assistant County Attorney. So the request is couched as an ADA Fair Housing Act accommodation. But the request doesn't fit those reasonable accommodations. One, we're not providing a housing service. We're not providing a service. This is about construction. So it doesn't fall under that automatic, reasonable accommodation, Fair Housing Act accommodation in term, because she's requesting a waiver of fees. Council,
which we've done waiver of fees
yes,
before.
Fees are completely.
I figured you were going to say that. That's where I'm going next.
So you can waive the fees. The thing you can't waive is the advertising costs, because that's paid to the News Journal, and that's part of.
You have to do that.
Right. So you can waive the.
So we can waive the other fees in exception of the advertising fees.
Yes.
So if I made that motion, which I'm doing right now,
perfectly fine.
Based on her situation, I mean,
Yes, hi, Carol McFarlane again. Paula's
Can we verify that information first before we do that, I guess?
she
Thank
has
you, Dan.
submitted paperwork.
She
for
has,
that.
okay, so there.
Make
So I'll stick with that motion.
Staff has no objection to that.
Would that include
No.
all fees, inspection fees, re-inspection fees?
With exception of the advertising fees.
Okay. Vice Chair Reinhardt makes a motion to waive all fees other than the advertising fees for this person and project, and the second was by Councilman Santiago. Any other questions? You're up for something else?
Something else, Mr.
Okay.
Chair.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I hope that helps, Katie. That was the quickest action I've seen. So thank you for coming in and making that appeal
And she waited the whole day.
successfully.
She waited the whole day to see if we were going to bring that up.
Maybe the News Journal could donate the fee.
Please let us know how it goes, how your situation is. I know it's personal business, but
That's all I had, Chair. Thank you.
okay.
Mr. Chair, I just wanted to jump on something Matt was saying, and I thank you for the additional time. Troy, I seen this morning, you were talking about the beach, Matt. I seen this morning, California had the World Dog Surfing Championship, and I thought that was here. What is going on?
Listen,
I had it this weekend.
all I can tell you is this, all right? If California wants to bring some, they can go ahead and bring some to the East Coast, because next year's dog surfing contest with the triad of Daytona Dog Beach, the Hang 8 Dog Surfing Group, and the County of Volusia, I have it under good authority that Nanette McKeel-Petrella will be before us in the near future. And she's going to be doing a presentation. And I don't want you to worry about California. If you would have seen what I saw on the beach here 6 weeks ago, you wouldn't be worried either. So don't worry, David. We've got this.
All right, they made national news, so you got to step up your game a little bit. That's a challenge. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Councilman Robbins. Okay, I'll see if I can wrap it up before noon. You took care of the first thing. Thank you for that, for Katie. Second one, Ray, I think I heard your answer to this on the Hope Street that Rebecca brought in. The beginning of the street, the south end was paved without a permit. No, it's not.
Oh,
the
no,
case.
that was wrong. You got the wrong guy.
Yeah, it was Tad.
Tad said
Yeah.
that, but
Yeah, Tad would be also the permitting person out on the right of way. Ray is on private property.
all right. Have we gotten Rebecca all the information she needs on how it's supposed to proceed? And if not, I'd be glad to meet with you and her and maybe somebody from legal. We can't give her legal advice, but we can tell her what the county's supposed to do. Sorry
I only
that-
heard part of the question, so.
I believe that you said on Hope Street that the beginning, the
southern
south end of the street was paved without a permit. So what happened with it? And they didn't have to pick it up. They just brought stormwater up to code?
Well, we are requiring them to go ahead and upgrade the system and show what they're doing for their storm. When they went out there and did it, the road had some roadside swales in it, similar to what you'd see for most rural road sections. Not very well defined, but they were there. And they just paved the existing section that they had. It used to be either dirt or millings. I don't know exactly before the paving occurred. So as a part of the permit to put in the asphalt in front of the 4 homes to the north of that, we have them going ahead surveying that area, working with those property owners and incorporating the stormwater system for the whole section into one consistent system is what we have them doing. So
Okay. Since it's a private road, right?
Correct.
Does everybody on the road have to agree?
no, the way we've handled it is the property owners, the road sits on the property owner's property for those southern portion, for the southern section that's already paved. It's a little bit different than the portion that Mrs. Mangalia lives on, where the road is actually in a defined right of way. It's by easement on that southern section. So each of those individual property owners is ultimately responsible. And if they don't rectify the situation, then code enforcement would pursue all 6 of them to get it rectified.
Good. You know, the public listening in and maybe even the council here might wonder, well, why wouldn't somebody want their road paved? And that is the problem, is that I've heard from numerous residents on that road that it's causing flooding. It's a wet area anyway. It's across the street from wetlands. So I'm glad to hear that that's being enforced. It needs to be. I'll talk to Rebecca again and perhaps talk to you and just because this has been going on for a long time.
Right. And we've been in consistent contact with Ms. Mangali every time she
I
brings
know
it.
Ben has as well, or his staff.
Sure. Sorry. That's why I don't.
All right. I don't want to hear anymore from. Thank you for your help. I appreciate it.
Tad, we're going to call you back in a minute because you're getting the opportunity to talk. So
Yeah, Tad or Ray, either one. I don't know who the person that came in this morning about the African American cemetery. That's probably the city of Daytona or DeLand, correct?
No, not necessarily. There is a list. I don't know. She used the term Union Cemetery. I'm not sure where that's located. So go ahead if you know.
Yeah, so that's in western DeLand, so it's in the unincorporated area.
Is that the one on Euclid?
Yes, it's on.
Oh, as a matter of fact, I go that way to work, and I saw the Volusia County Corrections on that site this morning with a trailer and several people working in that cemetery. So.
Okay.
So I'll confirm what the issue was, but they were there working today.
if I could share, because I remember that cemetery, Coach Bailey, his crew has been doing that.
That's correct.
That
Now,
cemetery for a long time.
At a level of service, because that cemetery there is some issues with ownership and stuff on that. We do, I think, about 26 cemeteries countywide. They're abandoned. They're becomes kind of wards of the county. There's a process. It's just something that we pick up. But at the end of the day, we've tried to work using our inmate labor out there. They do a good job, but it is in a challenging situation. There's a lot of old trees and things in there. Again, they do the basic mowing, weed eating, and that type of thing. But obviously, it's not to the same level of a privately maintained and much higher level of service than what we could provide with what we have.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Councilman Kent?
Just on this issue, Chairman, and I want everyone to know I know nothing about this situation and the particulars. I heard the people come before us today, but I'll just caution everyone that years ago in the city of Ormond Beach, there's a cemetery near my home called Hillside Cemetery. A lot of wonderful people from our community are laid to rest there. And we had a group come to me as an elected official of Ormond Beach years ago and say, we'd like for the city to take it over, AKA the money that they had that they're supposed to have in perpetuity to take care of the cemetery. Someone wasn't handling the money correctly. And then they want the government to come in and take care of this in perpetuity. And now it becomes a taxpayer funded problem. I'm not saying I'm going to repeat, I'm not saying that's what this situation is. I know nothing about it. I'll need to be briefed on it, George, but I'm not for that. I'm not for putting that on the taxpayers' backs whenever maybe somebody didn't do what they were supposed to do with the finances. Thanks.
Thank you. Matt?
Yeah, I did. One more thing with respect to that cemetery is true. We've been doing that particular cemetery for years. And that was brought up, I won't even say it was Joyce Cusack that brought it up, if I'm not mistaken. That's true. And because I remember as a lieutenant at the jail, when I oversaw those crews, they were going out to that particular site. The individuals from the community that brought it forth, that brought this to our attention years ago, we told them we're going to give you just the basic service because some of the trees that need to be cut and things of that nature, you can't put the inmates at risk like that. You can't. So, but nonetheless, if they wanted to do that level, we told them it may need a community type of event that they themselves take care of. We'll take care of the basic, They need to take care of the rest. And this has been explained to them years ago because of the safety issues with the inmates. So I just want to put that out there. But thank you for bringing that up, Troy.
Often a church or someone's involved, and sometimes they change leadership or something, and they may not be aware. But it just so happened, like I say, I just happened to go by there today and saw our trailer in there, and so I know crews are actually in there today working. So very timely, but certainly serendipitous.
Okay. Thank you. Good information. It's afternoon. I'll try and be real quick with the last two things. We've talked about the data centers. You want data centers. Nobody else in the room wants them. We've got a moratorium. David's right. In election time, there's a lot of opinions. I forget exactly what he said. Sometimes it's crazy season or silly season. That worries me about a moratorium for 6 months, which really just takes us past election season. I would like it done now, but I agree with Wendy that I would prefer a ban. I disagree that it's against the law in Florida. I'm talking with the county attorney about it. It would be hard. I think what I've heard from you so far, Mike, is that the difference is, can you do it countywide or just unincorporated county? But that will come up. I don't want to get into debate now, but it will come up when we talk about the moratorium for data centers. I believe that it can be done according to our environmental 202.4, because we're a wet county, and I don't want to use up all of our water and pollute the water that we have left to cool a data center. So I'll continue to talk with the county attorney about that, but I'm going to invoke the Jake principle. How do we get to yes? It's hard, but we can do it, and you'll be able to disagree with it and give your reasons as of the council and the public will. The last thing, did you want to speak on that?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, if I may, only because I know you mentioned that it is legal and not legal. I want to make sure, because then that puts out a state of confusion out there. I'd like to ask now, our council, tell us, is it illegal for us to implement a total ban on AI data centers or data centers in Volusia County? And why or why not?
The short answer is it depends.
Thank you.
Which is not an answer anyone wants to hear. The moratorium in concept is a timeout. It gives you time to give direction to us on how you want to deal with an issue. We have it's a little bit of an unusual period because we're under Senate Bill 180, which essentially has prohibited things that are more burdensome, more restrictive. The legislature last year passed a law that, sorry, I'm distracted by Al here. Passed a law that basically said local governments, you have the authority to regulate in your comp plan and land use plan large load AI data centers. That's a very quick summary of that. Well, that's authority local governments already had, right? So there's been this has been a big topic of discussion with other counties over the last few months that I've taken part in. And you see some governments, at least 20 counties by my count, that have begun taking steps in some way to change regulations on data centers, many of which have enacted a moratoria during that period of time to allow the elected officials and staff to work through that issue. So that is not as clean as I would like to see it, but I see the argument that exists that doing so in some way, even if it's more burdensome or restrictive, does not violate Senate Bill 180. When I say that, what do I mean? Well, I wish Senate Bill 180 or the new AI data center bill addressed each other and spoke to that issue. They did not, but I think a reasonable inference would allow us to enact a moratorium or basically not subject us to Senate Bill 180 when it comes to AI data centers. We have the Burt J. Harris Act. And so when we've talked about moratoria in the past, there's kind of this rule of, well, 12 months. Well, where does that come from? That comes from the Burt J. Harris Act, which basically says a moratorium under of 12 months or less is not a taking. That's an informal term. A compensable act under Burt J. Harris, meaning you can do it. Anything beyond 12 months could be Burt J. Harris issue. So a lot of times you see the advice given, hey, we know what we need to do. Let's operate within that up to 12 months to avoid the Burt J. Harris risk. Could you go beyond 12 months? Yes. Would it be a Burt J. Harris risk? Yes. And that's really going to be fact intensive. Kind of a general rule on land use is, well, you got to allow a use to be somewhere, and you can restrict it in a reasonable way. Really avoid bans. If you wanted to talk about a ban here of some sort, and bans can take different shapes, and your staff's going to be here at the next meeting to discuss it because you direct us to come back with this topic next meeting. But really the only way we could get there would be declare it some type of nuisance. And there's a whole body of law on what constitutes a nuisance. Some people may say, well, of course it's a nuisance. Well, it's more difficult than that. If that is something you want us to go to research and use, we'll say the moratorium time to pursue that, we could. We just got to be cautious about how we go about it, and do we have a defensible basis for it? I haven't seen. It could be out there. I haven't seen a jurisdiction yet in Florida invoke the nuisance route. Maybe it's happened. I'll find out to research it, but most everything I've been seeing has been the moratorium route, because jurisdictions that are doing it are trying to get time to figure out how to deal with the issue.
Okay, thanks for that long answer, and it was very detailed. And
sorry,
no, it was good. That's good. And for me personally, I'm okay with pursuing the nuisance route. That I think that's a interesting route to look at. And thanks for clarifying that. It may or may not apply to 180. I think you leaned on it. 180 kind of sort of applies here because we're subjected to it still.
Yeah, that was kind of the general consensus early on in this debate, and it's kind of evolved because you've seen a number of other cities and counties decide, well, we're going to do a moratorium, and they're pointing to that statute. So I think there is a basis to argue why we would have that authority to do a moratorium and not violate 180. Could somebody come forward and challenge what we're doing under Senate Bill 180? Yes.
So, and Mr. Chair, I think I know where you're going. I think we're doing it the safest route so that we can get to make some good decisions. I think the moratorium is the wise idea for now.
If you decided to do a moratorium, regardless of the length, the way I would see it, it's a timeout.
Yeah.
It's a timeout from application to give us structure on what to do. It doesn't preclude a regulatory option one way or the other. It gives you time to do it.
Correct. The other route could be risky, but there may be paths so as to get there. That's what I read what you said.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, that is what you've been saying consistently. But you also just said that the moratorium, we could safely do one for 12 months without, I think it'll take 12 months. So that's where I'm leaning to start with, so that we can study the ban. And what I really heard you say is that the ban would be hard. It might even be unwise, but we have to make that decision.
What I would recommend is, if you did go in that direction, give us time to
Yeah, 12 months.
to put an argument together. If you did a moratorium of 3 months, 6 months, 8 months, whatever the amount is,
Right.
it would come back to maybe you extend it. So to us as staff, it doesn't really matter.
Okay.
I think that 12-month line in the sand is relevant just to avoid a Birch Harris claim.
Right.
That's where that comes from.
I'd say, I'm sure that you could come back with information in 3 months, but I'd said 12 months because it's probably going to require some conversations with the state of Florida as well, and that will slow it down. But anyway, we'll see. That'll come up in the next discussion.
And just as a side note, I am curious to see what's going to come out of this legislative session too, because you're getting faced with that issue. I'm sure your legislators are as well.
It'll be interesting to see what happens with 180. Right now, it's just wait till next year. Well, it's next year now. So, Jake, if you get there, we're going to give you the football. Get rid of 180. Okay. All right. The last thing I want to mention, everybody probably heard, was it last week? The national discussion on TV about the COVID shots. And I don't want to get into the politics of it. That's not important for the discussion I want to bring up. I'm going to talk with the county attorney about it. I haven't yet. I wanted to run it by the council here. We have somebody in our audience that suffers from, and I'm not even going to say your name because this is personal, and I don't want to drag all your information up here. She has been vaccine injured. And from those national hearings, we all learned that there are thousands and thousands of people that have been vaccine injured. And the pharmaceutical companies are held harmless. There was a bill passed that if something goes wrong, it's not their fault. It was a national emergency, whatever. But the fact is that we have these people that are suffering, that are dying, that have been fired from their jobs because they're suffering and dying. And I believe that whatever has been done with the pharmaceutical companies, I would like to have us as a council appeal to the governor of Florida and to our national representatives to ask them to pursue providing care for these people, because what we've heard from our local resident who is dying of this injury can't get local help. She has to go out of the country, spend tens of thousands of dollars. There ought to be care in the U.S. for people that were injured. A lot of people died from COVID. Now there's people dying from the vaccine that was supposed to prevent it. So, County Attorney Mike Dyer, can you bring us back information of how, or Russ, since you're looking at me, to draft a letter to appeal for state and federal help to provide care for these people that have no insurance because they've been dropped, nowhere to go, and so they're just dying alone in their homes. This county has worked hard to find, and successfully to find, a home for this person. But it doesn't solve all the problems. So before I ask the council, is that something you could do and bring us back to us?
Yes, sir. So what I hear is that you want us to draft a letter for council's review, asking the governor and other national representatives to help these individuals in their long-term care that council would approve and consent. Is that
Not just abandon. Yes. That's what I'm asking.
We can draft a letter for the next, for
council. Is that?
Yes, Chairman. Great idea.
Have that come back?
Great idea. Yes.
You need someone else to make the motion? You need a motion?
Yeah, you can make a motion.
I'll make the motion for that.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. And council, you just voted to bring it back. I'm trying not to hang you out, but this is important. And I thank you for making this so apparent to us that there is a need. And so it feels like a little tiny effort, but it's an effort that we can do. So that's all I have. At 12:20, we are adjourned.